Hello, fellow homebrewers. JP here, and I want to introduce to you the brand new Brew-Built X1 Conical Series available at More Beer. More Beer sells the highest standard in homebrewing equipment, and the Brew-Built Conicals are just that. They're made from mirror-polished 304 stainless steel, and they come with loads of features that you and I have been looking for. They have a full 2-inch bottom dump valve, which will eliminate your clogging issues, while the sturdy base includes 4 reinforced legs, just like those big Pro tanks do. More Beer also carries the Brew-Built line of options and add-ons like casters, pressure kits, and even external glycol chillers. So you can find out more about the new Brew-Built X1 Conical Unitanks by going over to morebeer.com for detailed videos on the entire line of Brew-Built Conicals. You can trust Brew-Built with your next fermentation, and you can trust More Beer to find the right conical for you. Brew-Built at morebeer.com.
Today's Sunday session is proudly brought to you by More Beer at www.morebeer.com.
Great beer is about drinkability. Doesn't matter the style.
You guys are like walking beer Wikipedia. That's the first time that you've ever accepted me as a person.
Or you have a fermentation in your gut.
I'm jet propelled at all times.
How many guys do you think that you have the privilege to slap?
Somebody who's never tasted a commercial example, and this is how you know everything about this beer? Please, you don't.
I think that's bullshit.
I think it's bullshit too.
Wow. Are you guys going to arm wrestle?
No.
We're going to teabag fight.
Yeah. You heard of Junkyard Wars?
Can I get another high five, Beavis?
Now, live from the Brewing Network studios in Northern California, this is the radio program for home brewers, craft brewers, beer lovers, and beer geeks. It's your only source for live beer radio that brings expert brewers together with, well, expert drinkers. This is the radio program with a head on it. This is The Session.
Yes, sir. Welcome to the show.
Hi.
Welcome to the session.
Hi.
I'm maintenance drinking today.
Yeah, you are. What does that mean?
It's when you're drinking just to deal with the hangover from the drinking that you've been doing all weekend.
Oh.
Maintenance.
You gotta stay at the same level.
It's the only way to get back to where I was before the weekend. I don't want to be drinking.
No,
I'm not even enjoying the beer I'm drinking.
Well, it's probably an IPA, that's why.
Is it like when heroin addicts use methadone?
Yes.
Right.
That's exactly what I'm doing. The equivalent of methadoning.
Right.
Today.
Says the girl from the ghetto.
Yeah.
I'm not from the ghetto, bitch.
Says the girl from the ghetto.
Says it all.
Yeah, it was Schumann's stupid birthday this weekend.
Oh, yeah, I missed you on the Friday night event.
Yeah, a Schumann birthday usually means me feeling like this. So, but it was a fun time, and yeah, I just realized as I cracked open the first beer today, I don't even want this beer. But I don't have a choice.
It's the only medicine you can take.
There's only one way out. It's SF Beer Week, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know if you knew that, but a lot of things happening for SF Beer Week. And it also means that we get to do some great interviews during the week. And in fact, next week, we'll be broadcasting live from the Celebrator Beer Festival anniversary party. It's their 25th anniversary, I think. I wonder what Tasty's going to be like when we celebrate our 25th anniversary.
Dead?
Not very alive.
Yeah.
Wow.
We'll just wheel him out.
Yeah. I think you'll be alive. You'll just be a mess.
So I'll be nothing.
You'll be shitting yourself.
Shoot me, will you?
You want us to just
I'll sign the contract right now. Write it up.
He'll be like in in Scrooge,
yeah.
The first ghost that Bill Murray sees is his like dead boss.
Right.
It'll be like that, with like worms coming out of his cheeks and shit like that.
Well, that's a great thought. Okay.
Yeah,
Not that it doesn't cross my mind.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah, it happens to everybody.
Why are we not having...
Yeah, so we'll be broadcasting from the Celebrated Party next week. But this week, we've got in the studio with us today, Jester King Craft Brewery out of Austin, Texas. Jeff Stuffings and Ron Extract are in the studio with us today. And I think they've got a beer dinner going on tomorrow for SF Beer Week. And we were lucky enough to have them come in and hang out with us. So we're going to be talking to those guys today. And some great beer that we have to taste, don't we, Moscow?
Yeah, super stoked on those.
A lot of spontaneous fermentation type things, and some Brett beers maybe. And I know Nathan Smith brought in a beer that we were talking about last week, his Brett Saison, that I really enjoyed at the Winterfest. So we're going to be talking about that a little bit today, too. A lot of things to do.
Sounds like a gay dancer.
What?
Brett Saison, everybody!
All right. Please welcome to the stage. Brett Saison.
Stage 2.
Hey, Nate.
Speaking of gay dancers.
Steel Panther's coming back to town.
Ooh, really?
Yeah. Your presence is required.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's a BN company thing now.
Without question.
And we can't go without you anymore. JP has already got his tickets.
Yeah.
I'll be buying tickets tomorrow.
I know what I'll be doing at the break now. Buying tickets for this.
It's Steel Panther at the Regency Ballroom.
Regency Ballroom, $22.50 plus a $9 convenience fee.
I figured we should get some kind of VIP treatment there. Like, they should know us by now.
I think we should.
It's true. So, yeah, Steel Panther coming back to town.
Hell yeah.
I'm going to allow Sam to go.
Yes! Tasty, you going back?
Yeah, sure.
You went to the last one, too.
Absolutely.
Yeah, sure. That was a great time.
The only one that isn't the big Steel Panther fan that we are is maybe Moskowitz. It's too butt rocky for you, isn't it?
It is, but I'm growing my hair out right now, so it should be real long for the next one. I'll be ready.
You'll be ready to go.
In a month, it'll be fine.
This is slightly off topic, but I don't know if anybody... It's sort of on topic, too, though. Have
I had
you
a
heard
chocolate frosty?
I did, and it was delicious. Dick. No. The first Dodger-Giants game is Metallica Day.
What?
They're going to sing the national anthem.
Oh, no.
Really?
That's amazing.
Is there a surcharge for that? How do they get their royalty?
Sounds horrible.
It's Metallica Day.
Who cares? I totally want to go.
How washed up is your band when you get a day? It's Metallica Day to come do the national anthem.
Cliff Burton's going to crawl out of the grave and kill those guys.
Before
they can do it.
You see ya?
And then Dave Mustaine rolling over somewhere, wherever he is.
Wow. I guess we have to go to that game.
Right?
Yeah.
It was important.
I'd rather have
that I
Steel
shared
Panther.
that.
They'd be great at that.
Oh, yeah. They would be
sure.
good at it, yeah. At least they can sing.
Lars would probably sue everyone.
Put on a show.
In the stadium.
Yeah. Do not listen to this without paying me.
Close your eyes.
He's already suing you for slandering him just now.
All right, let me get through some announcements real quick because we got a lot to do today. We're going to be tasting some Moonlight Mead today, and we're going to be interviewing some good folks from a company called Fast Rack. And then, of course, we've got the Jester King boys in the studio. So we got a lot to get to. You can see us live next week at the Celebrator Anniversary Party. Tickets are on sale now. You can go to Celebrator.com, and there's a ticket link right there. If you want to bypass, you go to Celebrator.com/anniversary/2013. A lot of good breweries are going to be there, and it's back at the Marriott this year, so it's a bigger
spot.
It's we broadcast live from there a few years ago. Last time it was at the Marriott.
I think it was like 3 years ago.
Yeah,
I think it was at their 20th. I think they did the 20th, and I think they're going to do the 25th.
The first year of SF Beer Week?
True,
Yeah.
I think that's right.
Yeah. So, so get your tickets now. Come on out and hang out with us. You can do your shopping through Amazon by clicking on the Amazon link on our homepage. It's a great way to support us. It's pretty transparent. Just click that link and then go on about your business, and we get a little cut of the proceeds, and it helps us out a lot here. You can also shop in the BN store. Just, we got hats and T-shirts and glassware and all sorts of good stuff in there. So just click the store button and support us that way. Also, of course, you can become a monthly donor. For as little as $2 a month, you become a donor in the BN Army, and that enters you for a chance to win a $100 gift certificate from More Beer, our great sponsor, More Beer, who brings you this and every session that we do. And just $2 a month to get a chance to win $100. What else do I have to let you know? Our mobile app is in the store. Just search BN Mobile in iTunes or the Android Marketplace. You can listen on the go. Watch all this and more on Justin.tv/Brewing Network. JP's working the cameras today. Looks like it's on Tasty in Moscow right now, that lovely camera.
Not
It's
yet.
down,
It's over there, but I had to reboot the computer because things
see.
were going weird. So.
All right. Okay. Get all this and more over on Twitter. And yeah. All right. Send your show ideas to Scott@thebrewingnetwork.com. Send feedback to feedback@thebrewingnetwork.com. Everything else goes to JP, and I'm sure he will answer you in a very polite tone.
I do. I'm very polite with people.
All the time.
JP, you didn't email me back. It's been 2 fucking hours. What are you doing, jerking off? Yeah, bro.
Cool story, bro.
Yeah, I love getting emails. They're great.
Ooh.
They love you.
Do we have a Twitter game today?
We do. In celebration of SF Beer Week, I need a hangover cure.
Oh, yeah.
Went to the opening gala, which apparently is not a gala.
Not anymore?
No, I made some stupid joke on Twitter about I want someone to come up to me at the SF Beer Week gala and tell me what a gala is, and I'll give them a hug. And SF Beer Week wrote me back.
Oh, they did?
Yeah, and said, we don't call it a gala anymore.
Why not?
And then literally
They downgraded, that's why.
And
they
then,
decided celebration.
I can't believe they took the time to write you about that.
Yeah, I mean, they put a little smiley face.
They didn't want you to
But
try and pronounce the word. They were
you
tired of that.
overdressed?
Literally 2 minutes later, Matt Brindleton says, hey, there's a Firestone event right across the street from the opening gala.
I bet he didn't get a note.
Interestingly enough, he did not.
Oh, you asked him?
Yes.
He said, hey, did SF Beer Week?
Yeah, and he's like, no, it's a gala. Everyone calls it a gala. It's a gala.
Right.
Don't change it.
It was for the first 4 years, so now they've kind of set the precedent.
Well, now we're not calling it Winterfest. It's called Party in the Winter. it's
Well, what's with the downgrade? What's in it for him?
I know. That's what I'm saying. Like, I guess you can choose not to call it a gala anymore, but why are you going to make a thing about it?
Yes, we know what it was. When it was the gala, they were over at like Yerba Buena or something like that.
Right.
They were like shit shows. It was too small. The lines were
Right.
long. Now that they moved it over, I think they want to change the name, so it didn't carry that over.
The new venue isn't as classy either.
No.
It kind of looks like...
No, it's more like a warehouse.
Yeah, you just step over more bums and like smeared in dog feces than ever before.
Like every good gala.
Human feces.
Is it gala or gala?
I was just going to ask that. I thought it was gala.
Maybe that's why they changed it.
JP just doesn't like saying the word gay.
Yeah, I don't like gala, dude. It sounds too homo.
Next year,
Yeah.
you guys should wear tuxes.
I know. That's what I was wondering if you were overdressed now that it's not a gala, JP.
I had a button-up shirt, and I looked all right. I brought it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You bring it strong.
I brought it kind
Did
of.
you wear your like nice new butt jeans?
I did.
Nice.
Yeah.
Did you do anything for the Brewing Network while you were there?
Yeah, I took pictures.
Yeah.
Took pictures, made some notes. I'm going to write a little blog post about it.
Made notes.
Yeah.
About what? Like about the beers?
About the beers. Like Roger Davis teamed up with Drake's, and he made a beer called Tree Beer,
Oh.
which was a lot of like Doug Fir needles or whatever. I don't know.
it?
I'll get details later. Yeah, and it tasted really good.
Wouldn't that have been in the notes?
Well, then I had to ask Roger, and you try to get a straight answer out of Roger after he's been drinking for X number of hours.
Right.
Yeah, so.
I see. That's a good point.
Yeah.
Nathan and Tasty, you guys went to the gala.
We did. We were quite gay.
Yeah. Did you have fun?
A lot of fun.
Yeah.
Oh, my God, yeah.
I do like that new venue better. It's there's so
rad.
much more space.
Yeah, they had a couple bands playing though, and
They did?
That wasn't mixed real well. But
Were they metal?
No, they were like the indie SF artsy folksy. One dude had an electric violin, and all the ironic mustaches just made me really not like San Francisco. I was really tired of it. All the handlebar mustaches.
It was a great event. They had like 70 or so breweries, and
Yeah.
all mostly from Northern California. They had a few out of area.
Yeah.
What's it? Ballast Point was there. Firestone Walker was there, and help me, JP. You know him.
Other people.
Stone.
Stone was there.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, it was all Northern California breweries.
Yeah, they were all guests of Whole Foods, which had a
Those
whole
were,
giant
yeah.
thing in the
They were
middle.
the-
Like so,
Really?
all the out of area beers were
Brought in
guests
by
of Whole
them, huh?
Foods, Yeah.
Interesting.
We had it all organized by sections of Northern California, like East Bay, North Bay, South Bay, that kind of stuff. I thought that was kind of interesting.
So I
Just kinda
stayed up
walk
on
through.
the.
That is interesting.
I was up at the Heretic East Bay,
Yeah.
Altamont Brewing Company section like all night.
Yeah.
I mean, like one jaunt across the place to get to Lagunitas to
Right.
find somebody over there.
We're like the hood now. If we're in
Yeah.
different regions, our region is the hood.
Yeah,
It is the hood.
I think we should get our own act going up there.
Yeah.
Get some attention to it.
Probably so.
They did have a lot of good beers. It was a good time. It was a real good time.
Should we pitch them to have a Boner Chicken booth next year? The Brewing Network Boner Chicken booth?
I think we should.
It's time for the Brewing Network's latest game, Boner Chicken! Ready, JP?
Stare at my boner, stare at my boner. It moved, you lose. Boner chicken.
That's right. Taking the nation by storm.
We're going to play that later on today.
We are, yeah. Jester King boys, they didn't know it yet, but, if you come in the studio, you got to play, so to speak, you got to play Boner Chicken. And
Got to get some abuse.
That's right. Okay. A lot of things to do today. We're going to do feedback here in just a minute, but I wanted to talk to you just for a second about what's become a regular sponsor of ours, That Brewery Game. You can go to thatbrewerygame.com. They're one of our regular sponsors now in the BN. Good dude over there, Robert, at That Brewery Game.
Yeah.
And I know he's worked real hard putting this game together, and they are celebrating their 1-year anniversary this month. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
The game launched a year ago, and all month long, they're going to be doing some specials over there. I guess that players have virtually craft brewed and sold like 500,000 virtual beers. More than 500,000 beers.
That's an insane amount.
Gamers be cray-cray.
They crave. Well,
they spend some time.
They do. That's the thing, man.
By they, I mean you, JP.
Whoa. I do, actually.
Over 500,000 virtual beers have been brewed over the last year, and this week kicks off a full month of celebration of the anniversary. The game's rapid growth actually, I guess, caused some growing pains. We've had those in the past where, like, the servers have slowed down and stuff. So, but now Robert has upgraded everything, moved everything over to new super fast servers, so things are humming right along. This month they'll be adding new beer styles, new ingredients, new collections, and other stuff too. So you can virtually brew 24 different beer styles right now using hundreds of different ingredients. It's all free. Getting started, just head over to thatbrewerygame.com and do it now. Support our sponsor. He's a good dude and looking for a way. As if we don't have enough beer in our lives, now you can do it virtually, right? And this is what we need. We need more ways to feed this obsession of ours, this beer obsession. Thatbrewerygame.com. Go check it out. All right, should we do feedback?
Let's do feedback. Oh, man, do we have 8 hours?
I know, I have 2 weeks worth of feedback to do.
Yeah, and there's some long ones in there.
I'm not happy about that. I might skip around. I mean...
Feel free.
Make sure, if I miss something that you really want in there, JP, then just tell me.
I will.
Oh, my God!
You've got mail.
Kick ass.
All right, feedback's brought to you today by Keystone Homebrew Supply. Go to KeystoneBrewing.com, check it out. Great sponsor of ours. Just signed up for a whole new sponsor package with us, and I appreciate that very much. Good guys over there. All right, let's see. I should probably start with last week's feedback so it doesn't get old. Blues Buddha writes in... And people just have a regular name.
Oh, there's a good one in this week's feedback that's you'll love it.
All right. Hey, guys, I recently became a BN subscriber, private first class. I'm grateful for all the information and insight you guys provide, as well as the hours of entertaining ass-hattery. Thanks a million. I now live in Portugal, where the beer is abhorrently absent.
Oh, well.
Here there are basically two options, Sagres or Superbock. Superbock is a great beer name.
Superbock.
Yeah.
It's a good beer metal name.
Neither have anything to do with actually being super, and they compete with each other in being lackluster.
Sounds like us.
And that's all he wanted us to know, I guess. So,
yeah. Good reason to homebrew.
All right, Sent from my iPhone writes in, hey, Justin, check out the private channels on Roku. The Nowhere Man has brewing TV, and if you type porn into the private channel code thing, you get free porn on your TV. Fucking A, bitch. So that was his sign-off.
Or it's fucking a bitch. There's no comma.
Oh.
This is where the Oxford
fucking a bitch.
Yeah. Right.
Oh, I see.
Well, not the Oxford, but this is where punctuation is key.
Right. I don't know. Why am I going to do that? Why am I going to go to my Roku now and search for porn? I don't.
You're complaining about your cable bill.
Oh, that's
porn
true.
Charges. That's what he's helping you out with.
Oh, I see. Well, thank you, Tasty.
Sure.
Thank you for clarifying that.
Yeah. I wrote all that down, what he said.
Tasty.
If you want it, I got it.
He's got one foot out the door.
Yeah.
Now I just need to know what the fuck a Roku is, and I'm all over it.
What is that, man? Well, whatever.
All right.
Once it's a part of the female body, I'm into it.
Mike writes in, hey, you brewing luminaries and douchebags. You know which is which. First and always, thank you for all that you do for brewing. My wife and I have started using Amazon quite a bit. I've set up links on the computers at home so that Access gives the BN a kickback every time I do a purchase. Thanks, man. However, I realize that both of us use our iPads and iPhones a lot for Amazon. And typically the Amazon apps. Is there a way to use the apps to get kickbacks? Probably not. I don't know. Moscow can look into it, but I doubt it.
Yeah,
well,
I don't...
Why would they forego that option? I mean, that's, to me, a good incentive to...
Yeah.
I don't know. But there is a way.
Moscow will look into it, I'm sure. All right.
Making notes feverishly.
Alex writes in, hey, Brewcasters, I'm really stoked about Nationals in Philly this year, but have concerns that JP won't be there because he dislikes flying. From my selfish perspective, I really don't want to high-five and serve my shitty Kolsch to a cardboard cutout. We do now have a JP cardboard cutout.
Yeah.
Still the tasty version?
Yep.
Okay.
From broader view, many feel that JP brings an essential and an integral personality. JP, did you write this?
I never told you my cousin's name was Alex.
Integral personality to the BN, and vast numbers of listeners would feel the conference is just not the same without him. Yeah.
I think JP did write this.
Tasty, calm down.
He gave himself a way out and a compliment.
He definitely.
I think you totally wrote this, JP.
Yeah.
What a pretty good use of the words, huh? Yeah.
I'm not smart enough to give myself an out.
Oh, come on.
I'm sure, he goes on to say, I'm sure many in the BN Army would agree that we should not make fun of his issues with flying and support him.
Wow.
Come on, Jake. This is ridiculous.
I swear to God.
At least be clever about it.
I swear, well, look.
So obvious.
At least I didn't highlight it for you. It wasn't important, so that's how you know. If I really wrote it, everything would be important.
Right.
We have to.
Are you going to fly? Are you going to fly to Philly, JP?
Yes, I am going.
Oh.
What are you going to do? Take a sleeping pill or something?
No, I'm going to go. I'm going to take the red eye out, and we'll leave like 11:30 or whatever at night. So hopefully that'll be fine.
And that's better. Why is that better?
So I can be real tired and sleep.
Oh, I see.
Hopefully,
I see.
Yeah.
Will you be flying with Taryn?
Yes.
Poor girl.
I know. She offered. She
Really?
maybe it'll help you relax. I'm like, you don't understand. I actually want to get away from you.
Maybe you can get a little handy or something on the.
That'd be nice.
I mean, from the dude next to you.
Yeah, sure and get the blanket when you get on board.
I mean, when Taryn falls asleep and the dude next to you wants to give you a hand.
Hey, she looks a little tired.
Yeah.
Maybe I can take over.
What if you didn't know? Is it okay to get a handy from a dude if you don't look down? If you don't know it's a dude?
It's not gay if you don't finish.
Yeah. Oh, I see. What if you finish though? What if
Then
you're
it's gay.
What if you think the whole time that it's Taryn and you don't bother to look, and then you find out later Taryn's like, "What handy? I didn't touch you the whole flight." Is it okay?
I don't know. That's a good question. That should be next week's Twitter game.
Okay. All right. Thank you for writing that in, JP.
You're welcome. It was Alex.
Sandy Edwards writes in, I just want to thank you guys for existing. You're welcome.
Yeah.
I spent weeks...
It's been fun for me, too.
Right. I spent weeks looking for something to fill my silly girl brain with beer knowledge and dick jokes. You guys really fit the bill. Who has time to read the beer books that are out there? Not me.
Who's Bill and why are we fitting in him?
Yeah, anyway. All right, well, you're welcome, Sandy.
There you go. This next one is real long.
Oh, come on.
It's a lot. Garrett is a listener. He did this last year, the Upper Mississippi Mashout results.
Okay.
And so
it's a homebrew competition?
Yeah, it's a big one. And
it's huge. It's like 1,000 entries.
Yeah, and so he just listed everybody who won from the BN. And then at the end, he has a rant that I actually trimmed down by several paragraphs about some shitty reception that he got as part of the BN homebrewing club from the other people in another homebrew club in that area, which may or may not remain nameless.
Really?
Yeah. So I highlighted the best parts.
Can we say that Garrett Caldwell took third for Hop Grenade IPA? Nathan?
All right.
Yeah. Sounds like a true believer. Good job.
So, all right, yeah, the following is a rant about the pissy behavior at this event. It's long and heartfelt. I'll try to highlight the important stuff.
That was me writing to you.
Oh. Yeah. So I guess it's an open letter to BN haters. Are people really getting a bad reception from other clubs?
Apparently, from what he says, yeah.
Tasty, do you know anything about this?
I don't feel that vibe, but I'm not out there in the States.
I went and judged that comp last year and kind of represented the BN the whole time. Maybe I ruined it for you guys.
Did you feel angst?
What did you do?
I don't know. I really screwed it up, I guess. Yeah. No, I didn't. Not at all. But there's a lot of long days of drinking at that comp, so maybe that has something to do with it.
Well, he says, over the last year when attending competitions here in Minnesota, I've heard plenty of quiet grumbling when someone from the BN wins a medal. Unfortunately, at this year's whatever it's called, competition, it rose to the level of blatant disrespect.
They throw peanuts at him?
Yeah. That's been going on for years.
Yeah.
No, elephants, the whole thing.
Fuck you, I'm going pro.
He does list a club. He says apparently those guys have an axe to grind. I find it funny that the organizers would choose to promote their event on the BN forums only to turn around and talk smack at the event. Maybe they've forgotten that it wasn't that long ago that they were on the receiving end of the grumbling for having out-of-state ringers in their membership roles.
I think it's about us being an internet club.
Probably.
And it's about St. Paul.
He goes on to say, I promote home and craft brewing at every turn, but here's the deal. I don't have to go to the meetings, volunteer at events, or otherwise. The only contribution I would be making to your club would be my dues check. So what's the point in joining? I choose the BN because it fits my life. I enjoy the people I have met there, and it works for me. And I'm not alone in this. The BNA is an AHA-recognized club. Get over it and stop your immature tantrums. If the BN Army entrants aren't welcome at your events, then please say so. I'm sure I can find a better use for the money I spend on entry fees, banquet tickets, raffle tickets, blah, blah, blah. You know, the only thing that concerns me about this is, you know, sometimes the voice of one person or so gets misinterpreted as an entire organization's opinion. Mm-hmm. In other words, maybe I'm wrong, but I would find it hard to believe that all of the St. Paul Homebrew Club hating on the BN Army for being a club. There's probably a person or something that said something, and unfortunately, if it comes across as being representative of the whole club, then that's the message we get. So I haven't heard anything directly from the St. Paul Homebrew or any other homebrew club about us being douchebags or anything else. Not that I would, you know,
expect to.
Yeah, right. Or give a fuck.
Except for that Kurt guy. Every time I see him, he says, Benarmy.
Benarmy. Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah, is Kurt stock in the St. Paul?
I think so.
Yeah, I got a bone to pick with you. Hey, now I take it all back. If Kurt Stock is in that club, F that guy.
Yeah, but if not, everyone's fine.
I didn't get a harumph out of Tasty.
I don't do the Sounders.
No.
Anyway, I don't know. Yeah, hey, it bums me out if you guys are getting flack for being in the BN Army. But, you know, it's tough being at the top, isn't it? It's going to happen.
It is.
So, there you go. I'll skip this one.
Yeah, skip
I've been listening to the show a while. Thanks.
It's a logger question. Don't worry about it. He can ask in the chat.
Okay.
Or on the forum.
I've been brewing for 5 years, listening to BN, entered a competition in the Upper Mississippi Mashout, and did he win or something?
He placed first in American Brown.
There you go. All right. Wonderful.
Good for him.
Okay, that's last week's feedback. Jeez. Can I just move this one to next week? Hey, everyone, are there recent videos of the Sunday session? Yeah, Justin.tv stopped archiving the videos for some reason. Maybe we had too many views or something. I don't know. So, no, I think the recent episodes are no longer being archived on there. You have to watch live or listen. You know.
Type PORN in the search box. You won't see the shows, but you'll see something else you might want to see.
Some better video.
I'm on my way home from Houston to Fort Worth, and I just broke down a trade show with the Boner Chicken theme song stuck in my head the entire time. Really, it is a catchy tune.
It's time for the Brewing Network's latest game, Boner Chicken! Stare at my boner, stare at my boner. It moved, you lose, Boner Chicken.
It's really your best writing ever, JP. I don't think you've ever written anything.
Where'd you get that little bitty tricycle you're riding?
I stole it from a bear.
I see.
Yeah.
Good prop.
Just got back from a cross-country road trip from Charlotte, North Carolina to Vegas and back. Rather than listening to shitty radio stations during the trip, I listened to several past Sunday sessions. My wife even enjoyed them. Wow.
Well, there you go.
Yeah. Any plans to interview North Carolina breweries for the session?
Nope. Racists. Next question. I don't know.
Wow. Yeah, we'll get Sierra Nevada.
Exactly. New Belgium.
New Belgium. They'll all be there eventually. Yeah, sure. We'll get them.
See?
He mentions Noda Brewery and Old Mecklenburg Brewery.
They both sound real racist.
What? Old Mecklenburg.
Yeah.
They both have won medals in the past. Yeah, I don't know. Moscow, see if you can get somebody from North Carolina. I don't care. What do I care? Interview.
Check with me. I know just the guy in Moscow.
There you go.
We'll be either one of those guys.
Everybody gets an interview. You know, I have found brewers that are angry with us that they haven't been invited to the show.
Right.
And I'm just like, well, it's not personal. It's like I went down a list and was like, no, don't call them.
Why have you found me? Yeah. I'm worth it.
Those Jester King guys, fuck that. I mean, I don't know. It's weird to me that people get offended by this stuff.
Well, let's just see. I mean, I heard they do some good things, but let's let them progress a little bit more, and then maybe we'll go find them. You know, we'll see.
I met a guy, I don't even remember his name, just a total douchebag, though. He's starting up a brewery, and he's kind of saying, like, yeah, but you guys only interview, you know, the ones who have won everything. Like Matt Brindle said, you'll do that. Like, but, you know, I know just as much as any of these guys, and you wouldn't interview me. And I was like, well, I won't interview now. You're a fucking douchebag. But why would it? I mean, people just have weird opinions, and they're not my opinion, and that's what makes them stupid.
Right.
All right. Wow. This guy's name is Gentle Cunt Punch.
He's played on our Twitter game, but I put his email address in there for you if you wanted to read it.
Oh. Wow.
It was literally sent from that. Now, I don't know if it was a spoof.
His email address is, well, I don't want to give it out, I guess.
Well, then don't give out the provider.
Mouth rape at saidprovider.com.
It's commitment. I think it's got to be a spoof.
He has a weird sex life.
Sam joined a...
Oh, God.
Yeah. A fantasy football team with our church, like league or whatever. And his, I think it was like anal fisting something. And
these are all churchgoers.
There's something terrible. And like he had to be asked to like go on the website and hide his email information. He's like, I never checked that one. I'm like, why do you have that one?
I never checked that one
anymore.
Yeah, have an alias.
I'm not going to read this next one, but it does remind me that I need to mention this. I got several emails this week about Moscow, about my bit last week in Moscow, seemingly taking $40 from the BN. It occurred to me much later on that not everybody has the faith in Moscow that I have.
But before you go, the one that you asked me to put in is right after that.
Oh, okay. That's fine. Yeah. I don't need to read any of them. Okay. But basically, so Moscow got the $40 and forgot to bring the $40 in.
Right.
But here's what happens. Moscow knows how much I like radio bullshit and drama. So rather than just saying that when I brought it up on the air, he went along with the bit. Right. Like, oh, well, it was just $40, and which is perfect for me. That's exactly what I want the man to do. But then I get emails all week about what an asshole you are, Moscow. So I hear to clear the air that Moscow's not an asshole. He got the $40. He put it on the desk, and he forgot to bring it in. It's if I thought anyone in this room would actually steal from the BN, they wouldn't be on the program. I wouldn't make a bit out of it. I'd just fire them. So anyhow, that was my fault. I did, however, still think it was really good radio that poor Moscow had to sit there squirming like a douchebag being called a thief. But you probably shouldn't trust me that much, Moscow, and next time I do something like that, you can actually defend yourself. You don't have to go that far.
I don't know if I should, because the emails that I'm an asshole come in anyways.
Right.
Even when we don't do bits like that. So I don't kiss my ass. I don't care.
Right.
No, you are an asshole, regardless if you were a thief or not.
Oh, actually, you know what? That reminds me. One guy wrote in and said he was so pissed off that you did that he donated $100 for, and he did, and I saw it. He donated $100 for all the rest of the brewcast, everybody except for Moscow. So
drinks on this.
So
guy.
I got to give you guys that money too.
Right.
And sorry, Moscow, even though you didn't really do it.
Oh well, he said. He said, Scott is only to receive one dull and dirty penny. Separate donation of 1 cent also has been made.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so he donated a penny
for Moscow.
Yeah, thanks, Sergio from New Jersey.
All right.
I'll take it.
Moscow. I guarantee you that if I forget to give Moscow the penny, he will call me all week.
That penny at?
Here's my penny.
Sure. But he'll forget $40, but not a penny.
Right. All right, anyway, Sergio from New Jersey writes in, hey guys, I just heard, this is the same one.
Yeah, that was the guy.
So
you can go gentle cunt punches if you want, but.
Got it. All right. And that's your feedback for today.
And last week.
Yeah. Thanks to Keystone Homebrew Supply for bringing you 2 weeks worth of feedback there. Oh, glad we got that out of the way, huh, guys?
Yeah.
It's work.
That was weighing much on my mind, very heavily.
Tasty, do you believe me that Scott just forgot, or you still think he's a thief?
No, I'm sure. I think he just forgot.
Yeah.
Why are they mutually
exclusive? That was like $200. Well, maybe. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. You don't forget that. Man. Oh, radio.
How I love you.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk to Jeff and Ron from Jester King Craft Brewery. We'll learn a little bit about SF Beer Week later on in the show. Plus, we're going to taste some Moonlight Mead. We got a lot to do. Stick with us. If you got questions, hit the chat button on the homepage. Bevo will get them over to me. Hang in there. It's The Session.
You're listening to the Brewcasters. On the Brewing Network.
Since the first time the Brewing Network microphones turned on, More Beer was behind it. More Beer sponsors the programming on the BN because, like you, they love brewing. And like the Brewing Network, they love sharing their knowledge. Morebeer.com isn't just a website to place your next equipment or ingredient order. Morebeer.com also gives you access to free beer information that will make you a better brewer. Go to morebeer.com and click into the Learning Center. You'll find podcasts, technical facts, video tutorials, and more, including access to The Buzz, More Beer's social network of more than 5,000 members. And some of them might even be crazier about beer than you are. Get over to morebeer.com today and take advantage of The Buzz, the forum, the Learning Center, and make sure you're signed up to receive the newest More Beer catalog. More Beer, bringing you absolutely everything for beer making.
Hi, I'm Jamel Zainasheff, and in addition to my work on the Brewing Network, I write the Style Profile column in every issue of Brew Your Own magazine.
Hi, I'm Sean Paxton, and when I'm not prepping for the Home Brewed Chef on the Brewing Network, you can find me writing articles on how to cook with your home brew for Brew Your Own magazine.
Greetings, cretins. This is John Palmer, and when I'm not writing for Brew Your Own, I'm reading it.
John Palmer, Sean Paxton, Jamil Zainasheff. If you love listening to them on the Brewing Network, you'll love reading their articles, tips, and recipes in the pages of Brew Your Own magazine. Join Jamil, John, and Sean 8 times a year in Brew Your Own. And when you subscribe to BYO on the Brewing Network website, half of your subscription price goes right back to the BN to support great beer and food programming. So sign up for Brew Your Own magazine through the BN website today so you can listen and read your way to better homebrew.
Nico, listen, our lawyers said that we had to do this for 1 hour, and after this, we don't have to talk to each other for 3 more months to the next meeting.
Kids, come on, let's get out of here.
I'm supposed to have more lines. I'm the professional. Hey, it's Sully.
And I'm Nico.
And we opened the 21st Amendment 9 years ago at 563 2nd Street in San Francisco, just 2 blocks from Giants Park, to make great beer and have a great time doing it.
That's right, because to us, the 21st Amendment is more than just the right to make beer. It's the right to experiment, to be innovative, and just do things differently. And so now, we're putting our craft beer in cans.
That's right, cans. You can find our world-famous Hell or High Watermelon Wheat Beer and Brew Free or Die IPA throughout California and Alaska.
And now it's also available on draft at select accounts in the Bay Area.
So next time you're at your local neighborhood pub or good beer store, be sure to ask for 21st Amendment in cans.
Because everyone likes it in a can.
Tasty crack cans.
Tasty crack cans.
A vial of White Labs yeast is the key to your best beer. When you open a vial of White Labs yeast, you're giving your beer its best chance for a perfect fermentation. In addition to their already incredible variety of yeasts, White Labs is proud to announce WLP 90, San Diego's super yeast, now available year-round. WLP 90 is super clean, super fast fermenting, with low esters and has a neutral flavor and aroma profile. It's alcohol tolerant and highly flocculent. For more of the latest White Labs news, click over to whitelabs.com, where you can read reviews of yeast, learn in the lab section, and join the customer club. And if you should find yourself in San Diego, White Labs has a brand new training facility for craft brewers and home brewers alike. Whitelabs.com. Discover yeast, nutrients, enzymes, and more for commercial breweries, home brewers, and homebrew stores. White Labs. It's all in the vial.
This is www.thebrewingnetwork.com. Sit down next to it, grab yourself a paper towel, and watch those yeast have sex.
You're listening to the Brewing Network.
The session.
Brewing up our next batch of Radio Gold.
Right now.
All right, right, welcome back to the session. Thanks for sticking with us. Thanks to our wonderful sponsors who support this show. Those, of course, are the people that you hear from at our breaks there, and we appreciate every one of them. They're good to us. Right now, we got Jester King in the studio, Jester King Craft Brewery from Austin, Texas. We have Jeff Stuffings and Ron Extract with us. Welcome, guys.
Thanks. It's really cool to be here.
Thanks for coming down. I'm sure you came all the way to California just for the Brewing Network show, right?
Actually, I really did.
Oh, really?
Yeah, no, I totally did. Just to get a bit of kind of maybe awkward sentimentality out of the way from the get-go, I basically learned how to, brew by listening to the Brewing Network. Amongst a few, obviously, the other places as well, I learned a bit about brewing, but about 4 years ago, started listening to the podcast that, Jamil, Tasty, Doc, John Plisse were doing, and I learned a hell of a lot of information about that, and that not only gave me some of the impetus to open my own professional brewery, but gave me a lot of great information on how to do so. So anyway, that's
awesome.
Done with. But yeah,
I didn't know that. Moscow did not include that in my notes.
Thanks a lot, Jeff.
Yeah. Oh yeah, totally.
That's
Thank
great.
You.
So
I'm glad to get a mention too.
Well, so that's Jeff, and Jeff, what is your role at Jester King?
We wear a lot of hats, and it's a bit of a kind of communal process we do to make our beer. I'm a co-founder along with my brother Michael, and then Ron joined us super early on in our process. These days, I do a little bit of everything. I would say a recipe writing is still a big part of what I do. And then running our kind of barrel program, cellar, taking the beer from basically primary fermentation through bottle conditioning, and then finally to the glass is a role that I'm pretty focused on right now.
Okay.
Wort making has kind of been picked up by our lead brewer Jordan Keeper, and he contributes mightily to the whole process as well. But yeah, a little of everything.
It's kind of interesting that you are differentiating wort making from the rest of the process, rather than just the whole process being called beer making. What is that distinction for you?
Well, I think sometimes the brew day can be a little over romanticized in some cases in terms of the beer we make. The wort that we produce that eventually turns into the finished beer is critical and really sets the stage for the flavors we're looking for. But so much of it is kind of the journey through fermentation. I've heard Jamil say, it's all in the fermentation. I've heard heard the Whites, from White Labs say that as well, and that's absolutely the case.
Right.
So really kind of taking the beer from the brew day, basically the lead up and the shaping of the recipe, then brew day, and then really there's another at least 2-month journey that our beer will take before it gets to the glass, and for a lot of our beers even longer than that. So not to kind of diminish the importance of the brew day, but
sure.
Yeah, it's just.
So you guys are really focused on what do you call them? Are they wild beers or spontaneous fermented beers?
Well, we haven't done any 100% spontaneous beers yet,
okay.
So I'm careful not to call them anything that'd be approaching like authentic lambic or anything of that nature. We have done some spontaneous fermentation and kind of yeast capture experiments that have translated to flavors in our finished beer.
Okay,
but so far, I call them. We call them, generally speaking, farmhouse ales, which is a fairly broad category of beer making. Really what we're into is just trying to do interesting things with not just Saccharomyces cerevisiae, but other organisms. Most of our beers at this point do incorporate some other organisms besides cultured brewer's yeast. And I think while I lack some of the kind of science, hardcore science understanding of what goes on in the beer making process when you start incorporating other organisms, but as far as my passion for beer making goes, that's really where it all lies right now, is trying to understand and create interesting flavors through things other than just Saccharomyces cerevisiae.
Okay. And was that, you were a home brewer beforehand, I assume?
Yeah, homebrewed for a number of years. Started homebrewing back in about 8 years ago or so, and then the hobby kind of became an obsession and wanted to open my own brewery, and had my brother's help and then Ron's help.
Okay. What did you do before opening a brewery?
Actually, I practiced law for a few years. Went to law school. Wasn't a bad gig, but just wasn't for me, and didn't like that very much, so I decided to
you had to actually work.
Yeah. Who
wants that?
Yeah, like what I do now, it's way more hours actually, but I like it a hell of a lot. I imagine, it's like, running the Brewing Network. It's something you like, feel passionate about, and it doesn't necessarily feel like work, even though like from an hour standpoint, I'm spending like way more time than I ever did actually quote working.
It's not that many hours.
Yeah, I'm here 4 or 5 hours a week, easy. It's
actually Jay and I never see each other, and I'm here 3 times a week. So
right. And Ron, how about you? What is your role in the brewery? How did you get involved with Jester King?
Well, as Jeff mentioned, we all do a little bit of everything around the brewery. Jeff and his brother Michael and I are all kind of partners, and I work closely with Jeff in recipe formulation and procedures, but then I also deal with making sure that the beer gets into the right hands after it's done. So work in distribution, sales, that sort of thing.
Okay.
As well.
Have you had to break up any brother fights in the brewery?
Yeah, all the time.
Every day. Okay, good to know.
Yeah, there've been things thrown and yeah.
Oh yeah,
Ron's usually the level-headed person around the brewery. So.
Every brewery needs one level-headed person.
Only one. We kind of take turns actually, but
okay. Yeah. Were you always in the beer industry yourself? Or?
I've been in the beer industry for quite a while. I brewed for a bit about 16, 17 years ago, mid 90s. I did the short course at Siebel in Chicago and brewed there for a little while, and then kind of got involved in other aspects of the beer business. I worked in distribution and then in importing for a long time with Shelton Brothers Importers. And,
oh, really?
Yeah, and then moved to Texas and realized that didn't have a lot of the beers that I represented with Shelton Brothers were not available in Texas as I knew, and there were a lot of limitations to what I could do in my role there, and was starting to think much more about getting involved in production.
Okay.
And met Jeff and Michael, who had already kind of started the ball rolling with Jester King, so it was just a really nice fit.
So having worked for a while with Shelton Brothers, you must have a pretty nice looking beer cellar.
Not really. When I have good beer, I drink it. I
oh yeah.
I tend not to save things all that long. And I sometimes I'll save beer for a little while and wait for the right occasion. But I'm definitely not into just sort of collecting things and sitting on them indefinitely.
Okay. So I would ask this of both of you guys, especially since you're doing these kind of farmhouse styles of beer. Is there I know there's probably many, but could you pinpoint a beer that heavily influenced you guys into going down this path rather than just kind of making ales and lagers, you know?
Well, for me, it was a beer, Saison de la Seine, which is actually from a pretty new brewery by Yvon de Bates and his partner, whose name escaping me, unfortunately. But they're a fairly new brewery out of Brussels, and they did, their Saison, I really thought was quite excellent and kind of inspired me to make, along with Ron and Michael and the rest of people at Jester King, beers that, as I mentioned, kind of had some diverse organisms involved in the fermentation. He makes a beer, Saison de la Seine, that's a blend of kind of old, sour, funky beer with young, fresh, dry hopped beer that's fairly low gravity. A lot of our beers are pretty low gravity, and then exhibit a little bit of characteristics from the wild fermentation and kind of the interaction with organisms as well with hops, because we do use a lot of hops, especially noble varieties. So kind of low ABV, low alpha with some kind of diverse cocktail of organisms was kind of the first time I really had a beer like I just described, and that was really inspirational. What about you, Ron?
I was actually going to name the same beer. I was going to say Saison de la Seine. The blending of sour beer and fresh hoppy beer is something that I think has been really special. It's something that we've pursued. So that was one of the first beers that I really tried that incorporated that kind of technique. A couple of others that are produced in similar ways is a brewery in Belgium called Kerkum, and they make a beer called Roos, which is a very limited release that's a blend of aged sour beer and fresh farmhouse ale. It's really tasty. And another Belgian brewery, Brewery de Ranke, the Cuvée de Ranke is another example of that sort of beer that blends those kind of sour and hoppy flavors, and those those beers, and also a lot of the beers from Jolly Pumpkin, I think were really inspirational. I mean, they're an example of an American brewery that's doing just wonderful things with wild yeast, and that kind of shows the potential there.
In fact, Jolly Pumpkin contributed to my hangover today. I had a little La Roja last night. Yeah, good stuff. Have you had that Saison they're speaking about, Nathan?
I have, actually, yeah. I love both those breweries, De La Seine and Duranc. Excellent kind of modern interpretations of the Saison style and ideas that they do. Actually, had a really interesting hoppy beer from De La Seine recently that Jeff Bagby and somebody else whose name I'm forgetting went there from the U.S. to collaborate with those guys, and actually was excellent. Normally, hoppy Belgian beers don't necessarily come out so great. This is a really cool interpretation of that, and I think some of these ideas about doing Saison brewing or blending aged beer with a fresh hoppy beer is pretty innovative. Pretty innovative stuff. Yeah,
I agree with Nathan. We've talked about it on the show that I used to almost instantly poo-poo hoppy Belgian beers because I don't think they were doing it right in the beginning when they first started experimenting. But I think that's changed. And now very often you can try a Belgian IPA, and it's good. I think that some of these experiments have worked out.
Yeah, Duranc XX Bitter is an excellent Belgian hoppy beer. I think it's just wonderful. Hits all the notes you'd want.
Yeah, I was going to bring up XX Bitter, and I feel a little bit of a need to defend the Belgians on this, having spent as much time as I did on the importing side. But I think there's a great tradition of Belgian hoppy beers, and it's just a tradition that was largely lost with industrial brewing. And in all fairness, we don't get exposure to a lot of the best hoppy Belgian beers here. A lot of smaller breweries have been gobbled up by international mega corporations, and they're making beers that are maybe hoppy but also super sweet and that are not examples of what the traditional styles were. I mean, Belgian IPA is definitely kind of a modern invention, but there's tradition of hoppy Belgian beers that dates back well before that, and the brewers at Duranco would never refer to XX Bitter as a Belgian IPA. They wouldn't use that term. A lot of other folks seem to superimpose that term on that beer and on some beers from people like De La Seine. But I think I mentioned Kerkum before is another Belgian brewery that I like a lot. The Kerkum Blonde, when you drink it fresh, that's a really wonderful Belgian hoppy ale that's just super tasty.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I mean, see, we think of Saison or we think of Belgian beer as not having a lot of hops many times, but Saison's a pretty hoppy style, and how it always kind of has been, at least modern interpretation.
Yeah, and I think one of the keys to that is the low alpha varieties. Justin, I'm actually not a huge fan either of some of the more kind of Trappist-inspired esters in Belgian beers that mix in some high alpha hops that maybe killer in a great, IPA or double IPA, but when you put some of the high ester yeast character together with some high alpha hops, I think it can be a little cloying. So, yeah, what we're more into, I'd say, would be like super dry beer that has a lot of interesting yeast character, both in the aroma and flavors, and then paired with a big dose of low alpha noble hops.
Okay. Well, we have, I think, a beer that kind of fits that description in our glass right now, Le Petit Prince. Which your labels are awesome, and by the way, this is what I pictured that JP looked like as a boy, as a young lad,
doe-eyed
and German looking, blonde hair. I don't know why, but I'm pretty sure that's you on the bottle
with the weird alien Michael Jackson nose. I showed it to the chat, and everyone said that's Blobberglop.
It also looks like Blobberglop. It's actually I am making fun of it because I think it's a funny label, but it's awesome. It's a really well done. It's art, man.
It's creepy.
Yeah.
And I love it.
It's really distinctive, cool labels and artwork.
Creepy is what we were going for.
Oh, good.
We were going for creepy on that.
You got creepy.
It's like steampunky kind of, inlay in the back. And
if I woke up and this guy was staring at me.
Hello, you have been in an accident. Don't worry, we will care for you.
Yeah. Tell us about this beer.
So, first, just to I'll give a mention of the artist behind it. We actually have a full-time in-house artist named Josh Cockrell. We met him through the homebrewing community. So he does all our label art, and we just ask him to just do kind of weird, creepy stuff, and he
he does it.
This beer, we're talking about the world outside of Saccharomyces cerevisiae. This actually is one of the kind of beers that we still do 100% stainless steel with a pure culture yeast strain. We use French Saison. If you're homebrewing with that yeast, it'd be the Y3711. We get it from the Brewing Science Institute. slightly different character we perceive. But pretty much of the 6 beers we bought, this is the only one that's pure culture, 100% single strain stainless steel fermentation. So in some extent, I kind of I like this beer a lot. The inspiration behind it was DuPont of Real. I had that beer out in Colorado and just loved it and wanted something that had a lot of flavor, that was pretty low alcohol, around 3%. But with that said, I mean, I do kind of, as much as I love this beer, I do kind of still bag on it to some extent, being the pure stainless steel single culture fermentation, which we still do some of. But anyway, it's a super low gravity beer, 1025 starting gravity, so about the same OG as a lot of my yeast starters.
Okay.
And then super simple, organic pills, a touch of organic wheat, and a touch of organic Cara pills. Cara Munich. And then just noble hops. We give it a little Golding at 60-minute edition, and then all Saaz to finish it out. So we try to get some of those kind of spicy, peppery notes from the Saaz.
Mm-hmm.
For being a small beer, very small beer, we still dry hop it at about a rate of a pound per barrel with Saaz to try to get a lot of kind of hop flavor and aroma into the finished beer. From there, it's bottle conditioned. All our beers bottle conditioned or keg conditioned or cask conditioned, and so it's about a 2-month beer to make, and super dry, and just tried to be a nice base for some nice hop aromatics, a little bit of yeast character, but just about as simple as a beer can be, really.
It's in its simplicity. It's awesome. Yeah, that crisp, dry flavor.
It's bone dry.
Yeah. I just really enjoy that. By the way, also, not only is the beer wonderful, if every interview was like you, Jeff, I'd probably be out of a job. You just answered every question about that beer that I could think of in one. That was fantastic.
You don't have to pry or probe.
No, there's no. I'm going to go to sleep, actually.
He was listening.
And you guys carry on, talk about the
Throw
beer.
him out there.
When you said you had a hangover, he was listening.
Yeah. He's like, well, I'm not going to get shit out of this interview if I don't do it myself.
I think it's also the description is like blubber. It's very dry, very simple.
Right.
So nothing complicated about it.
Yeah. Now, why the organic malts? Is that something you do for all of your beers, or?
We do that for as much as possible. We do have organic status, and I think about 3 or 4 of our beers are certified organic and have the USDA seal. A lot of them, though, are just use as many organic ingredients as we can, but aren't actually certified, because kind of the way we brew is we always look for the malts that are and the hops that are going to give us the best flavors, and if we can get them organically, we buy them organically. But if we can't, we're going to use the conventional, because ultimately for us it comes down to just the flavors and aromas we can get from our ingredients. As far as why organic, Ron, you've kind of spoken to that before. I mean,
well, a lot of the issue for me personally is just that I want our beers to have a strong sense of place and a strong tie to the ingredients, and show respect both for the ingredients and for the people who procure and process them. And I'd prefer not to expose those people to dangerous chemicals if you can avoid it.
Mm-hmm.
I personally don't really think that a lot of what goes into growing conventional grains is going to survive in the beer, and that there's a significant health difference between drinking organic beer and drinking conventionally brewed beer. But I do think that it has an impact on the folks that are responsible for providing us with those ingredients. And
that's a good point.
I'd rather take the extra effort and the extra expense to buy organic ingredients when we can, if they're available, and if we can do so without compromising the quality of our products.
That is probably the best answer for why go organic that I could hear. Because I think I like that you point out that you're not naive about the product. You want the product to be the best that it can be. But if you can do it organically and impact the lives of those farmers and that part of the industry, that's just a good reason to do it. And it's not pretentious.
Right. It's much more of a matter of fact instead of instead of like just high and mighty kind of thing.
Sure.
I like it.
Now, this beer, the Petit Prince, do you sell a lot of this one? Is this popular for you?
Well, we still make a very small amount, so it sells through. We don't have just pallets of it sitting around. But with that said, it does move slower. It's probably along with another very low ABV beer called. I didn't bring it here today, but it's called Commercial Suicide, which is kind of a hybrid of like an English mild and a French table beer. those two beers are our slowest movers, and I will get emails from time to time saying like, I really like this beer, but then I read the label and saw it's 2.9%, and like I want my money back.
Wow!
I want my money back. Oh man!
With that said, there are fastest movers in house.
Is that?
Well, there's two different audiences, right?
Right.
People that know they want the lighter beer.
Yeah.
People don't know they want strong beer.
Right.
Well, people inside the industry want beers like this.
Absolutely.
Yeah, the whole tradition behind table beer stems back to beer serving the purpose of an actual beverage, and beer being consumed in places where water wasn't necessarily safe. And this is a tradition that we thought was great because we all really like beer. We're thirsty guys. We work pretty hard and sometimes work with hot liquids and dangerous chemicals and heavy equipment, and don't really want to be drinking 12% Imperial Stout while we're doing that.
Right.
So to be able to grab a glass of beer at the brewery while we're working and still be functional is really great, and that's the whole idea behind table beer. Table beer was something that said was safe to drink when water wasn't. It was consumed by everybody. It was consumed by children at the time because water would poison them, and most people probably didn't want to poison their children. So
I would.
If you look like the guy on this label, I would.
Lower alcohol, hoppier beers were something that was that worked well in that capacity, and it's a little bit of a lost tradition. It's I find it personally kind of frustrating if I go to stop at a bar early in the afternoon and feel like having a little refresher, and everything they have on tap is over 8%. It's not what I want at that point.
Yeah.
And those beers can be great, but I remember an experience in Portland, Oregon, where I was at a bar at around 4 p.m. and they were talking about all the local beers, and I just asked them, "What do you have that's under 6%?" And the bartender just stared at me blankly, like, "What are you, crazy? Why would you want something under 6%? What's wrong with you?"
Right.
And I think that's kind of it's a phase of I guess development among beer consumers that if you're drinking beer for kind of small sips, if you want 3 ounces of beer and that's going to be what you consume, then a strong beer is great. But if you're going to sit around and drink a few glasses of beer over the course of several hours, then a lower alcohol session beer is really what you're after. There's a German brewer friend of mine who mentioned in defense of some of the lower alcohol beers that he brewed that he enjoys spending several hours with his friends, not 15, 20 minutes.
Right.
So that's where lower alcohol beers really can come into play nicely.
That makes sense. And also, we all have shitty friends. That's why we drink higher alcohol beers. Like, if JP's your buddy, you drink 9% beer. You want in and out of there.
Yeah, you drink to forget when you hang out with me.
That's
that
right.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Well, let's do this. I want to try some more of the beer, so let's take a quick break, and I want to talk about this process of blending sour beer and older beer with fresh hoppy beer so that our listeners can learn from you guys. So let's do that. When we come back, we'll talk more with Jester King. We got Jeff Stuffings and Ron Extract in here. I got some questions from the chat in front of me. If you've got questions, you can just hit the chat button or call 888-401-BEER. It's The Session. We'll be right back.
Listening to the Brewcasters.
Brewcasters on the Brewing Network.
Hey, Jack, what you doing? Playing Warcraft?
No way. It's TBG time, buddy.
TBG?
Get with it. I'm playing that brewery game.
What brewery game?
No, that's the name of the site. Thatbrewerygame.com.
What?
Yeah, check it out, man.
If you've ever brewed beer in your dreams or wish you could mash in right from your desk at work, you can. Kind of. With That Brewery Game. You can brew up a great batch of beer from anywhere virtually. Then you can sell it because in That Brewery Game, it's legal to sell your beer to the public, create recipes, brew virtually, upgrade your equipment, upload labels, and test market your brand at thatbrewerygame.com.
You still slinging pissed off birds into buildings from your phone? Forget that. Try making beer.
Sweet.
Register right now for your free account at thatbrewerygame.com. Brew, drink, play. Thatbrewerygame.com.
Brewers Publications is thrilled to announce the release of For the Love of Hops, a practical guide to aroma, bitterness, and the culture of hops by Stan Hieronymus. For the Love of Hops is a resource for brewers of all experience levels. It explains the nature of hops, their origins, and how brewers can really maximize their positive attributes throughout the brewing process. Ken Grossman from Sierra Nevada Brewing Company says,
This book is an amazing compendium on the hop, written at a level of detail that will captivate historians, chemists, and brewers alike.
For the Love of Hops is available now from Brewers Publications at brewerspublications.com. Order your copy today and wrap yourself in the binds of bitterness with everyone's favorite brewing ingredient, the love of hops.
Hi, I'm Jason Harris, the proud owner here at Keystone Homebrew Supply. We're thrilled to be entering our 20th year of supplying this great industry, and to show you, the Brewing Network Army, how much we appreciate your support, we're offering you 10% off your first order on our website, KeystoneHomebrew.com. Just use coupon code BNARMY at checkout, and I'll get your order out the same day. My goal at Keystone Homebrew Supply has always been to have a complete supply of everything a brewer could want. When you place your order online or when you come into our store, it's our goal to have everything on your list and more. One aspect of KeystoneHomebrew.com that we're really excited about is the ability to fulfill customers' exact grain bills. Do you hate to wait? Keystone Homebrew Supply can get your precious yeast and hops to you within just one day if you live between Connecticut and Virginia, and within 2 days east of the Mississippi. KeystoneHomebrew.com. Coupon code BNARMY. I'm Jason Harris, and I approve this message.
Hey, my brewing brothers and sisters, this is Jamel Zanishev, and I love a bold, hoppy beer, one that spits resin in your face and makes you cry, Uncle. There are a lot of great hoppy beers out there, but at Heretic, we want to make something as bold, dank, and resiny as possible. We use hops at every chance we get, including multiple dry hop additions. The result is Heretic Evil Cousin. This light golden, 8% Imperial IPA has an easy malt character that helps take the edge off the massive bittering, but it takes a back seat to the in-your-face hop character. We make sure this beer finishes dry so the hops can jump out and slam you in the taste buds. If you can't get enough hoppy goodness, Evil Cousin is your cup of tea. Cheers.
What'd you get? More brewing ingredients?
Yep. You know what I love about Brewmaster's Warehouse?
The $6.99 shipping?
Well, yeah, but...
Oh, the in-store classes for beginning brewers.
Yeah, that's cool, but...
Oh, the Brew Builder. Creating and saving your recipes online is awesome!
No, yes, but...
The cheese-making supplies.
No.
Oh, the wine-making supplies. Oh, the distilling equipment and liquor flavorings.
All that stuff is awesome, yes, but what I really love is that the guy who runs it is totally hot. And that Brew Builder software is awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Brewmaster's Warehouse brings you flat rate shipping on great equipment and ingredients to make beer, wine, cheese, and spirits at brewmasterswarehouse.com. And if you're in Georgia, stop by Brewmaster's Warehouse Monday through Saturday from 10 to 6. Visit brewmasterswarehouse.com today because it's totally hot.
Oh, yeah.
What's funny is brewers will say, yeah, I don't brew to style. I'm brewing my own beer. And it's like a German Pilsner, but it's black. Yeah, it's a sports beer. You know?
The home of live beer radio.
TheBrewingNetwork.com.
Because like beer,
radio shouldn't suck. You're listening to The
Session. Tuned into this session.
Because life's too short to listen to crappy radio.
All right, welcome back Thanks for hanging out with us. We got Jester King in the studio, and we're talking beer with them. Some more cool labels just made it to our studio desk, and I'm assuming the beer is probably pretty damn good, too. I did have some questions coming in from the chat room already. You can hit the chat button on your homepage, and Bevo will get your questions over to me from there. You can call 888-401-BEER. One question that came through, you had mentioned your brother, Jeff, as being involved in the brewery, too. Maybe you get this question all the time, but apparently one of you's last name is Stuffings, and the other one is Steffings?
Yes, that's right. My last name, which I received at birth, was Stuffings, Stuffings, and it's a weird name, but I decided to keep it. My brother changed his name to Steffing.
What a pussy. He couldn't stick it out?
He had something to say about, like, true to, like, the historical English origin. I think it's a bunch of bullshit.
Wow. So, that's great.
Well, he's not here. We could talk about it.
Yeah.
Of course he's not listening.
Sure. Right. That you kind of got some cred there, though. I mean, you can always say to him, like, dude, at least I got a real name.
Yeah. I'm no cop out.
No, I just take the laughter, especially on Thanksgiving.
Right. And another question that came through, let me do this one before we go on to the beer, too. You guys were a part of a legal battle with the Texas ABC, right? Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yes. We ended up suing the Texas ABC along with a couple co-plaintiffs, a restaurant and bar called Zach's, and then a distributor called Authentic Beverages. And just as a little backstory, there's some really just sad, bad, silly beer laws in Texas that have, despite the growth and success of a lot of craft brewers in Texas, have held our scene and Texas industry back. We challenged two things. One we won and one we lost. The thing we won had to do with what we could call our beer. There was some really kind of antiquated laws that kept us from calling beer by accurate names. For example, there was kind of an arbitrary standard where if beer was under 5%, it could be called beer, but nothing else than that. And if it was over 5%, it had to be called ale or malt liquor, which kind of created some kind of sadly comical situations where, like, you know, a pale ale that was under 5% had to be called a pale beer. It couldn't be called a pale ale.
I see.
And I
think that's great.
And then your Imperial Pilsner could not be called a lager. It had to be called an ale. And I remember a Sam Adams label that said like lager, and then below it said like ale in Texas. So just some
wow.
So just some nonsensical naming things, and that the judge agreed with us. So that's history. So kind of a little anachronism of Texas brewing history. So now we can call, for example, Petit Prince, we can call it an ale, which it is, as opposed to calling it a beer or vice versa.
Okay.
Where we lost, and I know, I listened to your show, and I know you've had like Scott Metzger from Freetail in San Antonio and Jeff Young from Black Star Co-op in Austin. Those guys are pub brewers. When you start a brewery in Texas, you have to pick either or. You have this weird either or choice when you start out. You have to either be a production brewery or a brew pub, and not the other. So we chose the production brewery route.
Okay.
So we can brew beer and sell it in stores and bars and anywhere in the world besides Jester King.
Okay.
And then the pub brewers like Scott down at Freetail, they can sell their beer at their brew pub, but that they're not allowed to sell in stores or bars or anywhere off-site.
Really?
Yeah. So
which is ridiculous.
It's bizarre, and it's really holding back craft beer in Texas. There's so many pathways to success that we see all the time in other states where you start off as like a little 5-gallon nano, and then you grow, and the next thing you know, you're like 10 years later, you're in 30 states. That pathway to success is illegal in Texas and other places. So
is it a unusual or conservative interpretation of the 3-tier system, that kind of thing?
They cite the politicians and the lobbyists cite the 3-tier system as I think an excuse. I think it's just Anheuser-Busch, InBev, Miller Coors, and their distributors have a very large presence in our state. They kind of see it as the last battleground where they really have a system that's entrenched to make them as much money as possible. And they cite things such as the slippery slope that if the laws change, the next thing Anheuser-Busch is selling straight to Walmart and cutting us out of the business.
Right.
So they basically try to argue that their whole thing will collapse if we are allowed to sell a couple bottles to go out of our brewery,
which is obviously just a ruse because there's precedent in pick any other state.
Yeah, that's always our point. Like, just look at other states, and it's
Yeah.
where, the three, it hasn't collapsed. Their model hasn't collapsed.
Right.
Yeah, of course, that's how breweries make a lot of their money. Is their growler sales right off the dock.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah.
Kegs and sales.
Texas wineries can also sell either on
really?
site or to go.
Wineries, huh?
Interesting.
Just after beer. Huh? Wow.
Wow. So you lost that one.
We did. Yes, the judge did not agree with us. So now our next hope is to go back to the legislature. The Texas legislature only meets every 2 years.
Right.
So we only get a bite at the apple very infrequently. Some older brewers in Texas, like St. Arnold out of Houston and Real Ale and Blanco, those guys who've been making beer since the mid '90s, they've been trying for decades to try to change the law. We've joined the fight just recently since we're a pretty new brewery.
It must be frustrating as hell.
It is. It really is. I mean, actually, let me point to one that just like as a beer drinker, I probably find the most frustrating is like, prior to the show tonight, I was at Triple Rock with Scott and Tasty, and drinking some really exceptional beer from all over the world, all parts of California and beyond, and that could never happen in Texas because for I was drinking. Pick one. Some Hanson's Creek, and that beer for a brewery like Hanson's to bring their Creek to a Texas festival, they'd have to pay a $5,000 to $7,000 licensing fee just to bring their beer in for a festival, and they're not going to do that.
Right, of course.
So when we have a beer festival in Texas, we're limited to just Texas breweries and then bigger craft breweries that have paid the money to sell their beer in Texas.
Wow.
So like small artisanal breweries, like we just don't get. And
you should move.
Or West Texas should secede. I think.
Yeah, except Austin's cool. That's about the best part of Texas.
We actually suggested that on our blog that if people want access to these to some of these beers, either consider living somewhere outside of Texas or try to help us change the law.
Right. Now, just out of curiosity, are you your own lawyer, Jeff? Do you do the?
No, I kind of sucked at that. So I got out of that, and we were really lucky to have two attorneys just represent us pro bono, just because they were beer geeks who wanted to help out some small brewers in the brewer scene. So they did it for free. Otherwise, it never would have happened.
Right. Okay. Oh, that's great. Yes, JP.
What are we drinking?
Yeah. What's in our glass here?
This is our Das Wunderkind Saison. So when we were last segment, we were talking about the kind of technique of blending old beer with young dry hopped beer.
Yeah.
And just kind of the backstory behind this is we tried to kind of brew a Saison that would be at least as authentic as we could make it to if you kind of think about the early history of Saison. You're talking about beer that was brewed without stainless steel, without cultured brewer's yeast. This is all pre-Pasteur days, and probably not in the most sanitary conditions in the world either by farm workers on farms in Wallonia. And so what the brewers were very adept at doing was they knew the beer was going to become infected. No way around it. So what they would do is kind of give it kind of an inoculation. They would call it like the coupage de beer, basically cutting the beer with some infected old sour beer, usually lambic, to kind of give the beer kind of an inoculation that would send it on its right journey. So when that would eventually sour, it would be with the right organisms that were going to still be pleasant to drink. So that's what we did with this beer. We brewed some young, fresh, kind of low alcohol, clean beer, so to speak, and then kind of give it a big infection at bottling with some kind of old funky beer, not spontaneous fermentation lambic, but some old sour beer from our cellar.
But you do that at bottling, so it's not sitting as a blend at your brewery. It's
we blend it right at bottling.
Interesting.
So, about 20% of the beer was old funky beer, and about 80% was young, fresh, dry hopped beer.
And what kind of yeast is the young, fresh beer fermented with? Is that a Saison yeast?
Yes, the French Saison yeast I mentioned earlier.
Okay.
And the hops in that are noble hops, Saison.
Yeah, we used hops like Golding, Saaz, some Fuggle, some Liberty, which arguably is noble, but yeah.
Right.
Apparently, that's Moscow on the label.
Does look a little bit. He's kind of a ginger.
Yeah.
Das Wunderkind. And it's a good name, too.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is a very nice beer.
Thank you.
And, I guess, how would you know? But the blending part that you do is it's pretty transparent. In other words, this could have, just come out this way. You could have just brewed it with it. Because it's just such a hint of the sourness that's happening that I wouldn't have known, that you did this blending technique. Is that something that you're going for? You don't want it to stand out sour, or is it just still maturing?
Really, I want to just have it be a beer that still has kind of a wild edge to it. I mean, some of the other beers we brew are kind of more funky or more sour beers that are 100% aged in oak. This one I kind of wanted to represent some of those kind of like fresh, grassy, kind of somewhat clean flavors, but to be not quite normal, to kind of have a little like funky, sour edge to it as well. Just kind of add a little complexity to the beer.
Well, it all does blend together really well. Those kind of grassy notes and definitely some citrus notes in there. The hop character it's sharp. It's a really nice. I think it's a really nice blend. How many different hops did you say are in it?
3 or 4.
Okay.
Sometimes we'll kind of whatever we have available. Sometimes it's usually Golding Saaz and a little Fuggle.
Okay, and the little bite to it. I don't know if I'm using the right, but it's more like a lactic acid type of a bite than it is a sourness, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's a slight acidity from the wild bugs and critters that are in the beer that you blended with. I think that's really coming across in the finish, and it really adds to the aromatics of the beer too. It really bumps that up into a realm that you wouldn't get with just a straight beer without the funky side of it. It's really cool.
We have a phone question.
Okay, should I answer the phone?
I wouldn't, if I were you. I wouldn't do that.
I did. I followed the rules. I did everything like I was supposed to.
Is it Brew Onion?
I confirmed it.
I confirmed it.
I confirmed that.
Brew Onion, what's happening?
Hi, this is George.
Please say that.
How's it going, guys?
How are you, buddy?
I just had some questions, two quick questions for the Jester King brothers.
Okay, go for it.
First off, Rutger Bar and a little shit. It's a small town. It's about 20 minutes away, maybe 10 minutes away from Mexico. So the craft brew scene there isn't that big. But surprisingly, for what we do, we actually sell quite a bit of stuff. And I carry about 5 of their brews right now. And the problem that I keep running into is it's just the availability. I mean, it's like it's so hard to get it. I'm just wondering if you guys plan to expand anywhere in the near future.
I find it hard to believe.
That's such a softball.
You said just a mountain of beer. It was easy for us to get it.
Yeah,
we're like a whole state away.
Is that legal to do?
You're right.
In theory, hypothetically, you did it. It was great. Virtually.
Well, it would have been, except we sent all our beer to California. So.
Right. So what about that, guys?
Yeah.
Is your beer hard to get? Are you going to be able to fix this?
Well, we really can't make very much. I mean, we're just limited in how much beer we can make because of the methods that we've chosen to embrace. All of our beer, even the beer that's just stainless steel fermented, is re-fermented in the final package, whether you're talking about bottle, keg, cask, and we don't do a lot of draft. It's about 80 to 85% of our production is bottle production. We just really do a little bit of draft for kind of special events and a little bit for in-house tasting. But all of our beer is naturally conditioned, so that means that we need to store it temperature controlled to allow for that re-fermentation. And then the beer that we're aging in oak is even longer. It involves even longer temperature controlled storage, and that's a program that we're continuing to expand. We're doing more and more sour barrel aged beers, which is quite a long commitment to put the beer into the barrels, let the flavors transform, as we'll talk about some more, I'm sure, as we taste some of our barrel-aged beers, and develop the way that we want them to. And then those beers actually require a longer period of bottle or keg or cask conditioning as well. So that space constraint is a real limitation for us on how much beer we can make. So in order to expand, we did just add some new fermentation vessels, which will help us a little bit on that front because we were constrained in terms of our fermentation capacity as well. But that still doesn't help us in terms of having a place to put the beer. So until we can really expand our temperature-controlled space and the space that we have for both barrel aging and bottle and keg conditioning, we're not really going to be able to produce too much more beer than we're making right now.
Okay. Brew Onion, did you have a second part? You said two questions in the beginning.
He's multi-layered.
Did we lose him already?
You get it?
We lost him. All right. Well, there you go.
Good question. Good answer.
Thanks for selling our beer.
So back to the blending process of this beer before we move on to another one. And you say that you do it at bottling. How do you decide on how much of this sour beer that you're going to add to it?
We decided on a ratio of about 3-to-1 of the young fresh beer to the old funky beer, just kind of based on our palates and kind of what we thought was pleasant. But knowing that it kind of won't be until about the 4-month mark of conditioning that we kind of see some of the aromatics that we're after.
Okay.
Especially in terms of kind of like the kind of funkiness and then one thing, and then this is like an area of brewing science that I know when you had Chad Jacobson on the program, he was talking about some of the new areas of science where hop compounds are interacting with yeast to create interesting flavors, and like a lot of kind of like this kind of peachy stone fruit that I get in Das Wunderkind is not there at bottling, and really kind of comes through by spending some time with the dry hop and the yeast from our barrels interacting together. So on the one hand, yes, it was kind of trying to see how the flavors worked at the time of blending, but then that's almost kind of like just kind of shoving it in a certain direction and letting it develop from there.
I see. And how is the blend itself done? You do it in the fermenter?
Yeah, when we scale it up, we'll take the beer out of oak and put it into our packaging tank, which is just a 30-barrel fermentation vessel.
I see.
And then we'll take the kind of 80% that's young beer and just rack it in on top of it, recirculate it, add sugar, and then bottle condition it.
And then, so they're then sitting at your brewery for at least 4 months, bottle conditioning?
4 weeks.
4 weeks, okay.
Yeah, at least 4 weeks. But with a beer like this, I kind of don't really feel the flavors are fully developed until about like six weeks, sometimes 2 months. I would say for anything that we brew that has some barrel-aged wild beer in it, we'll give it at least 2 months in the bottle. Especially with our 100% blended oak-aged beers, we see a lot of diacetyl that kind of flares up after the blend, where the beer will kind of get real buttery in the bottle for the first couple weeks, and then eventually, I'm assuming Brettanomyces will absorb those diacetyl compounds, and the beer becomes clean, or at least clean in terms of not having butteriness after that. So typically, anything that's kind of has some non-brewer's yeast organisms in it will be about a 2-month bottle condition to get the flavors we want.
I do not have the stones for that kind of brewing. It'd scare the crap out of me if I opened a bottle and it was all buttery and to have to sit and wait and hope that it turns out good in the end.
It was scary the first couple times. Unfortunately, we had a lot of good advice from people like Vinny or Tommy Arthur, who just mentioned the beer having to be patient during bottle conditioning, and
even bottle shock. I remember Vinny talking to us about and saying that even that can happen just like it does in wine.
Yeah, and then a lot of I don't know. Kind of when I say a lot, I don't really know what the percentage breakdown would be, but a fair portion of barrel-aged sour beer is flash pasteurized and force carbonated, and I don't want to. You can make some very nice beers that way. I've had them, but for us, I would never trade the flavors we get from leaving the beer unfiltered, unpasteurized, and then bottle conditioned, because that's where we've seen so many of the surprises. The flavors we get from the oak, this is to some degree surprising, but just kind of where we're just totally kind of mystified is what happens after we blend and then bottle condition these beers, and just the flavors that will develop and the aromas that will develop. And I know that wouldn't happen if the beer were pasteurized at the time of blending.
Right.
So I think that's an important part of the process. And the downside is it takes up a lot of space and a lot of time, and is not a pathway to make very much beer.
Okay. All right, we got another caller. We got Andy Wood on the line calling in. Andy, what's happening, buddy?
Hey, friends. How are you guys doing?
Good. What do you got for us?
Well, I want to say that my mom lives in Austin, Texas, and I live in California. And so she had a heart attack, which prompted me to fly out there. And naturally, while I was out there taking care of my mom, I had to find the local brewery, and it was Jester King.
Oh, perfect.
So I took my stepdad. Yeah, it's a good time. And so I took my stepdad out there, and we had a great time. They have such an amazing brewery out there. It's a total farmhouse, and they have like a setup with like outdoor games and picnic tables, and it was awesome. And right now I'm actually drinking an RU55, which is outstanding. They're red sour. Hopefully you have some of that there. But I had a more important question for these guys, and I hope that they don't mind me asking, because I grew up in I was born in 1972, and part of my life was I wanted to be a stuntman because of Hooper and all that stuff. And as my stepdad was driving, we passed the brewery and went a little bit further down the road next door, and noticed that next door there was a thing called Stunt Camp. And it blew my mind because they were firing off fireworks. They had overturned cars. There were people doing stunts. And I want to know what the relationship is between the brewery and Stunt Camp, and how I can become a part of this relationship. If we don't have a relationship, I'd like to build that relationship for them, and do stunts off my bike. So that's my question for them. And the beer is outstanding. The RU55 is outstanding.
We'll be getting to that soon. All right. Well, so what do you think, Jeff? What's your relationship with Stunt Camp?
You can have a beer after you blow shit up. So.
Yeah, man. That's a good relationship.
So,
if you're going to visit both places, we strongly recommend that you go to the Stunt Ranch first.
Right.
No, he's our neighbor, and he's got this property where he literally blows stuff up, and has a paintball range and a gun range, which. It kind of makes it very, very Texas. You can just hear gunshots at the shooting range as you drink your beer. He's just our neighbor. Just our crazy neighbor. Nice guy. We have an open invitation to go shoot guns with him, and which is not something I'm really into, but nice guy.
So funny. Texas, where you can blow shit up, but you can't sell beer in a grocery store.
Right. Don't piss them off, or
at the brewery.
Don't drive your car.
Or at the brewery. Yeah.
Right.
At the source.
That's perfect.
It is a training camp for stuntmen. I don't think you understand, but it is a training camp.
Right.
It blows my mind. I drove by it, and I saw fireworks going off and children running around. It was the best thing in the world, and it added to the ambiance of the brewery. And by the way, everyone in Austin is absolutely gorgeous and in great shape. And that beer was outstanding, and the barrel room was great.
Right.
And that's all I have to add to the show, and have a good night.
Thanks, Andy. There you go. What a good job that guy has. He teaches people to be stuntmen and women. It's crazy.
Shooting at people all day. Really? And not hitting them. I want to do that.
What's with the fireworks and then kids running around? Are they part of the stunt?
Kid wranglers. That's stage 2 in the list.
Right. Well, let's try another one of these beers while we're doing it here.
Cool. Ron, I've introduced the last two. You want to introduce Russ?
Sure. This beer is our sour red ale, which is called RU55. We also refer to it as Russ. It was actually kind of a tribute to a gentleman named Russ Beatty, who was a brewer who helped us out quite a bit when we were getting started, and who we owe quite a debt of gratitude to. So he's a big fan of sour beers and Brettanomyces beers. We brewed this as a bit of a thank you and named it in honor of him. The image on the label, though, is not of Russ. It's of this kind of weird robot automaton that our artist Josh came up with. And Josh, he always just seems to have the right inspiration when he tastes the beers and tries to develop a character around them that just personifies it. And for whatever reason, he felt like this robot was the right personification of this sour red ale. This is a style that I think is brewed really, really badly by a lot of people around the world.
I agree with you 100%. 100%.
You taste a lot of sour red ales and taste really nothing but vinegar and sugar. It's something that is, I think, so misrepresented. And I personally don't believe that anybody actually likes beers that taste like vinegar. I think that some people convince themselves that they like them because they think they're supposed to. But I'm not sure that there's anyone who legitimately enjoys vinegary beers. I guess I can't say definitively that nobody does. Somebody may call in and say, hey, I love vinegary beers, and I guess I'm not going to argue with them.
Right.
But I will say definitively that I don't like them, and that I don't think any of my colleagues at Jester King like them. And I don't think that sour beers have to be vinegary. I think there's a reason why lemonade is a popular beverage and vinaigrette is not. There's fruity sourness. You can get softer acids that are really pleasant on the palate, and then you can get harsh, volatile acids that aren't. And we really try to stay away from the latter. We do a longer period of barrel aging at cooler temperatures. We keep our barrel room below 65 degrees to avoid acetobacter growth and just give the beer the time that it needs to develop a softer, subtler acidity. And we also let it ferment out completely bone dry. So we feel like by doing it that way, you can get a lot of fruitiness in the beer and a lot of I guess, a sort of perceived sweetness without residual sugar, and you can get a very soft, delicate acidity that isn't vinegary. Mm-hmm. And that's what we were going for in this beer, is that we wanted a sour red ale that had that kind of fruitier acidity and had the more delicate, perceived sweetness without actual sweetness.
Yeah, I think you did just that. It's probably one of the most sour beers I've tasted that does not have the vinegary aspect that you're talking about. I think you're right that a lot of the beers do end up with that kind of harsh acidity and that vinegar flavor in order to get as sour as they are. And this one is very nicely sour and not vinegary. It's a pretty impressive feat, I think, that you've done. You say that that's mostly a temperature control thing, temperature and time?
Temperature, patience, yeah, I think that's a lot of it is just it's easy to brew a very acetic beer, or relatively easy and relatively quick to brew a very highly acetic beer. You can do pretty rapid souring with acetobacter and get a beer very, very sour very quickly, but it's not going to have the kind of delicacy or the kind of complexity that you'll get if you do a much slower process at cooler temperatures and focus much more on lactobacillus and pediococcus and on the softer acids.
I feel like the wool is being pulled from over my eyes. I feel like I'm tasting, as I'm drinking this beer, I'm able to taste what so many of the other beers should have tasted like, what they were trying to taste like. Does that make sense? It feels like it's been uncovered.
I think there's an assumption that if a Flemish red ale is coming from Belgium or from Flanders, that it's got to be good. I mean, this is where these beers were originally made. So, of course, these are the people who invented it. They must be doing a great job. But I don't think that that's necessarily a fair assumption, because a lot of the beers that we're getting from that part of the world now are made by large industrial brewers who have taken a lot of shortcuts in the process and are doing things in a way that isn't wholly authentic anymore. So I think some of the best examples of this style that can be found now are from places like Italy and Oregon and other parts of the world well outside of Belgium. I really can't think of a great example of this style that I've tasted from a Belgian brewer recently, and happy to be proven wrong on that. If
Right.
somebody has an idea of a really good example of a Flemish sour red coming from Belgium, I
can't.
Monk's Cafe.
Monks, yeah.
No, I'll get nail polish remover out of that almost every time.
Yeah.
You know, and the Duchess de Bergeron.
Very
that's
sweet.
That's drinking white wine vinegar with nail polish. I can't do it. And then Rodenbach is way too sweet
saccharin,
for me.
maybe.
Yeah.
And saccharin was actually
Can't do it.
used in some of these beers because it's unfermentable.
Right.
So if you want to sweeten and you're not going to kill off the yeast, then adding artificial sweeteners is a way to do it. I guess pasteurizing is and killing off the yeast is the other way, but those were kind of the options. That we want to advertise that our beer's unpasteurized, so let's add artificial sweeteners as a solution, and that's just not something that we're really on board with. So we really wanted to revisit the origins of this style and pursue something that may not taste exactly like a Flemish red would have tasted 30 or 40 years ago, but that is much truer to the spirit of what we think this beer should be all about.
Okay. And so what are some good fermentation temperatures that you're using to
We
make
keep
this beer?
our barrel room between 60 and 64 Fahrenheit. We get a little nervous when the temperature goes any higher than that. We, I think, being in very hot climate where we are, we have to basically spend a lot of money on refrigeration to keep our room. We have a spray foamed barrel room that we keep at a constant temperature.
Mhm.
The other thing is keeping our barrels topped off and full to kind of avoid any headspace. We could see some O2 pickup. And then we use a lot of American oak. I wouldn't say that it's essential. Obviously, it's not essential to making a beer that's not very acetic. But the American oak is a little bit of a tighter grain wood than the French oak, which will allow a little less oxygen into the beer over time, which will probably make a little more favoring of the lactic sourness as opposed to the acetic. A little acetic can be okay, but it just really needs to be kept in check. And we use French oak as well, so I don't mean to in the least bit suggest that French oak can't be used to make a really awesome beer. You can, of course.
Okay, and I agree that a little acetic is okay. I wouldn't go as far, Ron, as to say that I like vinegar. I think you're right about that. That to say that you like the vinegar quality is probably an overstatement.
You can deal with it sometimes,
but a little bit of it, a little bit of bite there is okay. And
strong flavors tend to present very, very well in small samples, and I think that the sampling culture that we have among beer tasters now and among beer geeks, it's a little bit of a double-edged sword. It's great for being able to get exposure and for people who are doing things well to get some recognition, but it also does sometimes encourage tasting things in 2-ounce or 1-ounce sample sizes and evaluating them on that basis. And when you're doing that, of course, the most aggressive flavors are going to stand out. Something that's really subtle, that's really delicate, may not show itself in that sample size.
So you've had like 5 or 6 sips.
Right. So if you taste something that's full of acetic acid or that's full of like super high alpha hops is a similar example, that's got some really intense flavor component, that's definitely going to stand out, especially among a field of several beers that you're trying in that sitting, maybe. But if you try to drink a whole glass of it, it may not be quite as enjoyable.
Yeah, that makes sense.
What I noticed on the label, it says farmhouse yeast and wild yeast cultured from the Texas Hill Country.
Oh. Is that where the Texas Hill people come from?
No, that's just Texas.
I see. Yeah.
When we started up, we did a number of yeast capture experiments where we'd let wort be inoculated in overnight by leaving beer cool overnight, and then from there we get a little more technical and send samples off to a lab, to the Brewing Science Institute, which is, we don't have a lab at Jester King. We are kind of use an offsite lab for that, and so they would send us back propagated samples of the various wild yeast strains that we captured, and we'd experiment with them, and then just basically threw a lot of stuff against the wall, trying to start a barrel program with various strains we got back from the lab, and just kind of through a process of natural selection arrived upon some wild yeast strains that we wanted to incorporate into our beer making. And it's kind of self-propagating, because the way we actually make our sour beer is by blending old beer in with the young beer, similar to what we do with Das Wunderkind, but instead of then bottling at that point, we'll send it all back to oak. So we basically will brew about 30 barrels of young beer that's going to go to oak, rack it to our packaging tank, take about 4 or 5 barrels of old funky beer, blend it in, recirculate it, try to get the microflora evenly dispersed throughout the beer, and then rack it all back to oak. So that's kind of how we make more beer. So we just what we hope is kind of a winnowing upward, because we just take our best barrels and use it to blend into the young beer to make more. So hopefully it's kind of the yeasts that are in organisms, souring organisms that are in a program are constantly kind of being naturally selected by us, the brewers, to make more beer.
Okay. It's working.
Yeah.
It's a great beer.
It is very good.
You're dumping the right ones.
Has a little hot bite, I think, going on.
Yeah.
Balances very well.
How does that kind of crisp, sweet, and even a little fruity flavor, what's that coming from?
And this is where I kind of suck with my brewer knowledge, because I'm such a practical brewer and don't know the hardcore science behind it. We do use a lot of caramel malt in this beer. Like the recipe is very much like it uses a lot of Cara Red, melanoidin, Crystal 120, Crystal 160.
Okay.
So this is a beer that just coming out of the primary fermentation is pretty sweet. It has a lot of caramel malt character, and then I think once those caramel malts in the beer are subjected to barrel aging with wild yeast and bacteria for months in an oak barrel. A lot of the sweetness is gone, but some of those kind of fruity flavors from the caramel malts are still present. So I attribute that like C20, C120, C60.
Okay, it's such an awesome characteristic.
You don't get a lot of people saying the fruity characteristics from higher caramel malts. I like that. I like
the dextrins that they produce primarily, right?
Yeah. And that's kind of what I was getting at when I said I feel like the wool's being pulled out from over my eyes, because I feel like those are flavors that I would have tasted in other beers if they weren't so entirely covered up by the taste of vinegar. And because you have kept that, is it the acetobacter low in this, I'm able to taste all those characters. But I'm unfamiliar with it. So you could just as easily have said, oh yeah, we put cherries in there. And I would have believed you. Like it has such a clean,
absolutely tart cherries,
flavor to it. It's really great. You've done a good job.
Thank you. I think that some of these flavors also can get thrown off if the beer is too sweet. That flavors that in a dry beer present as fruity, as pleasantly fruity, can become very cloying if there's too much residual sugar. So that's one of the fun things to play around with this kind of complex grain bill, is to be able to bring out some of those fruitier, malty notes without having them present as too sweet.
Are the two beers that end up being blended done from the same yeast, or does it in essence have two different yeasts in the beer?
For primary, it just has the one single strain pure culture, which is actually something we're starting to gravitate a little bit away from, is doing single strain pure culture primary. We're trying to develop kind of more of a mixed strain primary fermentation yeast. But for example, this beer was all French Saison yeast for primary. And then really kind of the whole kind of cocktail of organisms got introduced at the inoculation stage.
I see.
Where the old beer is blended with the young and then farmed out to several barrels. How many organisms are actually in this finished beer? We put it under a microscope before, and it was just a bunch of funny shaped rods and ends.
Right.
So there's a lot of stuff, and then we actually just we have an apprentice right now. Her name's Adrian. She's from a winemaking background, and she actually attended Davis, and actually knows something about fermentation science where I don't. And so she's that's one of her projects right now, is actually trying to kind of figure out more of what's in our finished beer in terms of the microflora.
Okay.
Always bring a lady.
That's right. I had a question come through about these style of beers. Apparently he's a guy who's known your brewery since the beginning. He says, I was one of the people who saw your original business plan, which was more mainstream, he says. When you guys went the Belgian farmhouse route, which he says rocks, did you get any grief from investors?
A little bit, and just kind of the backstory on that is, I started writing that business plan back in 2008, and I was very just much influenced by more the Anglo-American world of brewing, and like our original lineup was like a Hefeweizen and I think a double IPA and some kind of variation on a porter. And those are all well and good. Those are fantastic beers. But then I met Ron, and he really had a massive impact on the direction we ended up going. Prior to that, I had never had beers from, for example, like De La Seine or Jolly Pumpkin or Cantillon. I mean, just all the beers that really kind of influenced the beers that we wanted to make. So Ron kind of took our direction in a major turn. He can be very persistent and ultimately kind of win the day in terms of the debates we have. So
he's the one we should be thanking.
Sure.
Right now.
Or blaming, depending on perspective.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, well, why don't we do this? I have some more questions in front of me. I want to go through them and make sure I get to them. So we'll take a quick break. We'll try a little more beer when we come back. If you've got questions, just hit the chat button on the homepage or call 888-401-BEER. We got another segment with the guys from Jester King here. And get me your questions now. Hang in there. It's The Session.
You're listening to the Brewcasters on the Brewing Network.
Brewing is your online resource for prompt delivery of quality home brewing supplies. Since 1979, Williams Brewing has offered the finest equipment and freshest ingredients, and the best customer service in the business. Cut hours off your brewing sessions by using one of their 11 varieties of famous Williams malt extract. Their new Snap-Lock stainless steel cam-lock fittings will make connecting your pump or heat exchanger quick and easy. Or check out their exclusive paintball tank-based draft beer equipment. They even have their own line of precision hydrometers. Go to williamsbrewing.com to browse their vast selection. That's williamsbrewing.com. Orders placed by 4 p.m. Pacific Time weekdays ship the same day. Brewing is easy. The Williams way. When Michael Fairbrother started moonlighting, he had no idea how quickly his dream was going to grow. Having homebrewed for 15 years, Michael decided to go pro, but not with beer. While attending his homebrew club meetings, he saw ladies knocking their men out of the way to try his mead. Moonlight Meadery is now 2 years old and can produce 200,000 bottles a year. It's the first New Hampshire winery to ever distribute to California and Australia. In fact, you can now find Moonlight Meadery meads distributed nationwide. And they ship direct, too. They produce 56 different varieties of mead and are unlike anything you've ever seen on the market. Michael Fairbrother at Moonlight Meadery is a real success story that can make the BN Army proud. Visit Moonlight Meadery in Londonderry, New Hampshire, or online at moonlightmeadery.com. Moonlight Meadery. Romance in a glass.
That's it. I've had it. I am never putting hops in my beer again.
What? Why?
It's just too ridiculous. Insane prices, stupid contract, high shipping costs, crappy selection.
Dude, you need Nico Brew. Nico Brew will rock your f***ing face right the f*** off your f***ing skull. $5 shipping to all 50 states. Plus fantastic international rates get you low prices on Nico Brew's great selection of hops and more. Whether you're a home brewer, a pro brewer, or a homebrew shop owner, Nico Brew can get you the hops you need in increments big and small. Single orders, spot buys, or full contracts. And there's only one place to join the uber special secret elite bare bones club where you'll get the best deals anywhere.
Holy shit!
NicoBrew.com. NIKOBREW. Nico Brew, your bare bones buddy in the brewing business.
Tonight is the night.
We bring the creature to life, Dr. Blitzmingstein?
Yes, J.P. Gore. Everything is perfect for my next fermented creation.
My doctor, the storm is too far away. We'll never have enough power to isomerize the creature's alpha acid.
Yes, J.P. Gore, we will. For I have in my possession the Tower of Power.
Blickman's new Tower of Power is the evolution of automation. Control hot liquor, sparge, and mash temps like a pro. The Tower of Power is a high-quality gas-fired rim system that works with your current brewing setup. With ultra precision, the tower can hold your mash to 1/2 of a degree Fahrenheit. Precision and repeatability. The Tower of Power is the answer to automatic, fast ramp times. See more at BlickmanEngineering.com. Bring your next creation to life with the Tower of Power.
Dr. Blitzmingstein, with the Tower of Power, you can probably give me an afternoon at the pub to enjoy a pint.
Don't be silly, J.P. Gore. We have beer to brew.
BN Army, HopTech has a great discount waiting for you. Do you often find it difficult to find specific specialty ingredients for your home brew recipes? Well, listen to this. HopTech stocks 59 different grains to choose from, 39 varieties of pellet hops, and 8 kinds of whole leaf hops. And HopTech not only carries Y yeast and White Labs yeast for you, but also Fermentus, 04, 5, 6, 23, 33, and T58 Belgian yeast, plus Cooper's, Nottingham, and Windsor yeasts. Got your recipe ready to go? Pick up some great brew gear like new long and short sleeved shirts, games, and more. HopTech's new website is being updated every day with new items. If you don't see it, call the shop. They're open 6 days a week. BN Army and AHA members get a 10% discount, and active military personnel get 15% off. Visit HopTech.com today for great selection, great service, and a great discount. HopTech.com.
mix me your 100-grain amber recipe, and I'm going to eat it. And then it can ferment in my gut. It totally works. The beer is almost identical to the grain sandwich.
Your colon won't know what hit it.
The home of live beer radio.
TheBrewingNetwork.com.
Because like beer,
radio shouldn't suck. You're listening to The
Session.
888-401-BEER. This is The Session.
all right, welcome back to The Session, where I do believe I am starting to just barely feel my hangover go away. Yeah, things are looking up, thanks to Jester King and some tasty goodness that they brought into the studio here. What are we going to drink now?
This is our Funk Metal. It's a barrel-aged sour imperial stout.
It's possibly the best label I've ever seen in my life.
I love it.
It's so
you have
rad.
to rush through this sour red.
It's I guess Bootsy Collins. Well, I'm probably going to sue us now, but Bootsy Collins was one of the inspirations. Maybe a little Hendrix, maybe a little Andre 3000, but we just definitely like to listen to Parliament when we're blending this beer and just keep it funky. So this was basically the beer will start out as kind of with our imperial stout, which is we call black metal. It's imperial stout we brew with that French saison yeast, and then we'll send it to oak, inoculate it the same way with the same process we do the Russ, and then age it for about 9 months. This beer kind of takes a long time to see the complexity we're looking for. And then we'll add actually in a little bit of lighter sour beer, including some this is a blend number 1 that we did, and this one we actually took some 100% Brett Bruxellensis beer that we just fermented, oak fermented, which kind of had more of a softer character and kind of, I mean, as you kind of strip away a lot of the sugars, some of the roast that's left behind can become a little harsh. So we actually we are happy with this beer, like straight out of the barrel, but we thought it could use a little softening, and that's kind of where the blending came into play. And so we had this kind of side project experiment of like a 100% Brett B fermentation in oak that we thought would be a good candidate to blend this beer with.
Okay.
So it's probably, I would say maybe like the blend was about 80-20, 80% soured imperial stout and about 20% 100% Brett B fermentation in oak. Blended the two together, bottle conditioned them. The ABV actually dropped a little bit. This beer typically finishes out around a shade over 9, but because we blended in about 20% of the Brett beer, the Brett primary fermentation, it finished out at 8.2 with the lower gravity beer, and then bottle conditioned it, and it's actually been in the bottle for quite a while now. We bottled it on our first blending and bottling was on June 12th of last year, so it's had some time in the bottle as well.
Okay. It tastes to me like something that can and should even keep aging. It's gonna.
Man,
it's wonderful, and it just seems like it would hold up really well to even some more aging.
I think so. I mean, I think we were kind of trying to figure out how our beers will age. This one I think will stand up to cellar temp for quite a while.
Yeah. Okay.
Another point that I guess I'll kind of recycle here because I thought it was an awesome point that Chad Jacobson made on your prior show, that he was talking about kind of the oxygen scavenging ability of wild yeast. And, in his opinion, the best IPA was a Brett IPA. I don't know if I agree with that, but I do think there's something to be said that, these beers, I think, will cellar a little better because, again, of that oxygen scavenging ability of yeast. I think if it's just a straight Saccharomyces beer and it's not really kept at some careful cellar temps, it's going to start to oxidize and show the signs of it. So
this has none of those signs in this one, so yeah. All right, Steve-O's on the line. You got a question. Hey, Steve-O, what's happening?
What's up, man?
How you doing, Justin? How you guys doing?
How are you, buddy? What you got?
Good. I'm a big fan of Jester King. I have a few questions for him.
Okay, go for it.
There's first of all, I live in Southern California, and I've had a chance to have the Black Metal Stout before you guys distributed here in California. But I noticed the new Jester, the Black Metals we're getting, say 100% farmhouse. I don't know if you guys covered that yet. Like, what's the difference in the two from the original batches and now?
Yeah,
and also.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. I'll ask my second question later.
So that kind of harkens back to some of the point where we're kind of an odd brewery in the sense that we started off like on paper in a very Anglo-American direction, and part of that, quite admittedly, we try to just be very honest about our backstory was out of fear. Like when we started up, we were told by beer drinkers, professional brewers, especially kind of advice for some professional brewers, like you will go out of business in this market without like a blonde, a wheat, and an amber, and an IPA, and for that reason, we kind of entered the direction we are now with maybe just 1 foot forward at first. Where our first beer ever was our Boxer's Revenge, which is barrel aged wild ale. But at the same time, we were also brewing with two house yeasts, an Anglo-American IPA, rye IPA, and then a kind of English Imperial Stout that we're doing with English yeast. And so our first Imperial Stout ever was brewed with English yeast.
Okay.
And then about a year into things, we decided to kind of forego some of our Anglo-American direction and just focus on kind of farmhouse ales entirely. So we went to one primary fermentation yeast in our brewery. So there's still some bottles of our original Imperial Stout floating around, which is, it's a good beer. I actually haven't had one in quite a while. I don't know how it's holding up to time, but definitely finished a whole lot sweeter, like 1028 specific gravity, where the one with the Saison yeast finishes around 1012, which is still pretty sweet, but much sweeter.
Okay.
I'm sorry, less sweet than the English.
Sorry, go ahead, Justin. Did you change the malt bill when you changed the yeast strain for a beer like the Imperial Stout?
Slightly. We made it an all malt beer. The one we were doing with English ale yeast, we'd actually dose in dextrose into during primary fermentation. It would start out at like 1083, but then we'd add about 250 pounds of dextrose, like dose it in during the course of the fermentation, about like 50 pounds a day, starting on like day 4 of fermentation. And we decided not to do that with the one we did the Saison yeast. We just started. We knew it was going to finish lower, so we didn't feel the need to really kind of dose it with dextrose to get the ABV a little higher. So it ended up being an all malt beer that still finished around the same ABV, but just without the dextrose. So.
One of the tricky things I think in using a Belgian style yeast with roasted malts is that sometimes the phenols and esters clash. I'm not getting that here, which is really interesting. It's kind of a tough thing to pull off. They did it really well.
Well, cool. I think this beer actually just has the benefit of really, really kind of drying up, and then some of those phenols I think are being the compounds, the chemical compounds that are producing those phenols, I think are being consumed during the wild fermentation, because some of the kind of spicy esters that are present when we rack this beer to oak are not there on the back end coming out of the oak. So certainly just the aging process does a huge number on this beer to my liking, really. I think it retains enough of the chocolate and roast, but it's totally different after the barrel aging and the blending too.
Steve-O, do you have a second question?
Yeah, and I noticed the newer version of it is a lot more drier too, on the black metal. And the second one was how big of an influence was All Shall Fall, the song from Immortal? Because I've seen that video and it just looks like the Jester King label to the T.
Immortal was actually they were really cool. They actually the corpse paint on the original label kind of resembled a Both from Immortal. And we actually heard from them asking us very politely and very cool to change the corpse paint.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And so we did. And definitely, the first label kind of resembled the lead singer of the band, Immortal. But yeah, I mean, all of our names kind of have an imagery, kind of has some kind of tie back to someone at the brewery. We try to allow someone to have some influence on all of our labels. Mine was black metal. I listened to a lot of death and black metal music.
Metal.
And
hell yeah.
So yeah.
Have you heard of Brain Oil?
Actually, no, I have not.
That's Nate's band.
Of course not.
Nate's Shred.
We've never toured.
I'd love to listen to it though.
All right,
you guys got to tour Austin. I'll follow you.
Thanks for the call, Steve-O. All right. I had some other questions here, too. Since we're talking about kind of the names and stuff.
Say it like this.
Garad in the chat room wrote in, the name Jester King is a little odd. You can be a Jester or a King or a King's Jester. What's with the name? Why was it chosen?
Did Scott write that?
Yeah.
The name was kind of an analogy, and to us, kind of the Jesters of the beer world are brewers doing interesting, creative things with flavors, and kind of the king in the equation was Anheuser-Busch InBev, and we wanted the Jesters to be the king of the beers, not AB. So
I see.
It was I don't know, we were just screwing around. So that's
I love it.
We couldn't come up with anything better. So.
All your screwing around has resulted in some really good stuff, man.
That's better than Narwhal.
Yeah, that's true. Definitely better than that. Let's see here.
Butterfly beer.
How about a blending question? A home brewer needs some help. You can do that one, Jeff? He says, I'm about a year away from blending a 3, 2, and 1-year-old lambic.
Wow.
How would they suggest blending a 35%, 35%, 30% ratio without overexposure to air? Each lambic right now is in 5.5 gallons in a 6-gallon carboy.
First, I would say just cheers to you for actually having the ability to blend goose, because that makes me incredibly envious. I would love to someday get to blend spontaneously fermented beer, something we hope to do one day. But so I'm, as far as the really the magic of doing. I know you've had Jean Benoit on the show before, so the question might be better posed to him. So as far as like how to blend that correctly, I don't know, and wish I could answer that better. As far as just avoiding oxidation, though, I mean, we purge all our barrels in tanks with CO2 prior to racking. We purge our barrel racking apparatus, our racking arm with CO2. So it's pretty simple to avoid oxidation. And then, of course, I think one of the beauties is I've never had a lambic or a goose from the 1970s, but I've heard they're out there and that they still are. Actually, Ron did have. He was his parents. Unfortunately, their basement got flooded during that hurricane that swept through New York and Long Island, and he was helping them clean out their flooded basement and found like a box of forgotten 1983 Boone. Creek,
86 Framboise.
Wow.
86 Framboise, okay.
And had it held up?
Not really.
No? Okay.
It really wasn't that. We pulled a couple of bottles and it wasn't at its best, but
okay.
It was still interesting. I've tasted older goose too, but one thing that I would say with that question is that I suspect, based on the question, that your home brewer was very meticulous with his or her methodology in producing those beers. But blending on that level is very, very difficult to do as a home brewer, because a big part of it is selection, and you need a critical mass to be able to choose from. So the idea of brewing a batch of beer and saying, I'm going to age this, I've got a 5-gallon barrel that I'm going to keep for 5 years, and then here's another barrel that I'm going to keep for 3 years, another one for 2 years, and I'm going to blend these together. It's probably not going to work exactly the way that you want it to, because we can't just say that we're going to age a barrel for a certain amount of time. We've got to keep evaluating each barrel that we've got, and some of them are not going to come out good. That's just an inherent part of the process. Cantillon dumps a reasonable amount of beer that they brew because the barrels just don't turn out right, and we do the same. And I think anybody who's really doing barrel aging in earnest and embracing wild yeast, that's just part of the process, that some of them are just going to go off in a negative direction. Some of them may need a lot more time than others, and a big part of the skill that we're trying to learn is evaluating those barrels and deciding what's going to make for the right blend, looking for certain flavor components, and then putting those together. And if you're going to just put all your eggs in one basket, so to speak, put all of your beer into certain barrels and say, this is how long I'm going to keep them, and then I'm going to blend them together, you may come up with something good, but you're probably not going to be able to come up with something that's as good as you would if you really had that critical mass of beer to
choose from. Yeah. Excellent point. And you just broke that poor man's heart, Ron. He's been waiting for 3 years, and now he's heartbroken.
3 years of work.
No. He gave him excuse. You should taste them now.
Yeah,
you shouldn't wait.
And it's an excellent point. And even just with don't just plan, that's going to sit there for 1 year. No, it should sit there until it tastes the way you want. You hoped that it would taste or something. So I did excellent advice there.
So yeah, if you're going to be a home brewer and you want to do that, buy lots and lots of small barrels and brew a shit ton of beer and keep it around. so that you have enough of that critical mass
But then
choose from.
Then to kind of throw an issue, a wrench into that, I mean, with the real small barrels, the smaller the barrel, you're going to get more oxygen pickup.
Mhm.
And I think it'd be very hard to make, a lambic in a 5-gallon barrel. I mean, if we were to do it, I would choose like a 400 to 500 liter barrel.
Yeah.
Or puncheon, something of that nature and then I would top it up initially after, the first couple months of fermentation, because otherwise the beer over 3 years the angel share is going to create a lot of headspace that can lead to oxidation. So that's another wrinkle. It's
well, my guess is he's using glass carboys anyway, but even still, if you're then going to try to impart some barrel aged flavor by actually using a barrel, you're right. And by the way, that is another question that came through about how often you guys do have to top up your barrels to keep it that way.
We'll top up our fruit beers, and we've never released a fruit beer before, but we've been adding fruit for the last couple months into our barrel program, and we'll top those up simply because we can't really, when we add the fruit, get them nice and really full. They'll start to ferment, and we'll actually see some beer loss just coming out of we leave them unbunged, and the beer and the fruit will kind of come out of the bung during primary fermentation. So we'll top those back up. But with the contact time that we're giving our beers, for example, like the Rust or the Funk Metal, it's typically not over a year. Usually it's more, minimum 6 months, usually more around that like 9-month mark. And in that time, we haven't felt that we've seen kind of some oxidation or kind of acetic characteristics, so we haven't felt the need to top off. If we were seeing that, we certainly would.
Okay.
Can I say about this beer, the sour stout? I usually get a lot of acrid, over roasted characters.
Exactly.
Nothing like that.
Yeah,
it's just a beautiful dark sour beer.
Yeah,
that's part of the reason that we blend in some lighter beers, is that when the beer dries out in that way, when the little bit of residual sugar that's there ferments through, then it can really bring out some of those kind of harsh, acrid notes that you were describing. And when we first brewed this beer, it's sort of an experiment. We were just putting all of our regular production beers into barrels just to kind of see what happened, and we were a little bit pleasantly surprised that we really liked the sour stout. When we put the black metal into barrels, gave it some time with wild yeast and bacteria, we liked the results, but we did feel that it had a little bit too much of that kind of harsh, acrid, dark malt character, and that's where the idea of blending in some lighter beer to soften it up really came into play.
It's a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
I wish more people did that.
Delicious.
I really do.
You wish more people brewed good beer.
I do. I do. Or at least knew how to blend.
Yeah.
Anyway, I like it a lot.
I had a couple packaging questions come in for you guys. Somebody asking if you ever plan on bottling in smaller, like 4-packs or 6-packs, something like that, smaller bottles.
Maybe Ron, his background is more the import side of the business with his time at Shelton, so you have a better answer than we've gotten that question before. I think
not anytime soon.
Okay, good enough.
The slightly longer answer on that is just that the 750 ml package is one that makes a lot of sense for us for a lot of reasons. We really like the way that our beer conditions in those bottles. It makes sense as a size for us, and it's something that we can sell profitably at the scale that we're producing. So in order to put beer into 4-packs, generally you go to a store, you expect to pay about the same for a 4-pack or maybe a little bit more for a 4-pack as you would for a 750. You're getting twice as much beer and a lot more packaging. It's a great deal if you're a consumer, but it's not the best deal if you're a brewer. And it's just not something that would be very sustainable for us right now at the scale that we're operating at. So unless we reach a point where we really have some more beer than we're able to put out into the market in 750 mils, then it wouldn't make a lot of sense for us to go in that direction.
Okay.
Or for us to do more extensive draft, for that matter, either.
That was the next question. The Padre wrote in, if I could ask about kegging beers as opposed to bottling, and if they have plans of kegging more of their beers. He's up in North Texas, where he says they used to get your beer in kegs.
Well, when we first started producing, we did actually all kegging while we were working on the labels and while we were kind of getting a handle on bottling on a commercial scale. We were also at that point force carbonating our kegs, which is something that we don't do anymore. We saw it as sort of a necessity at that stage, just to try to get a foot in the door to get beer out into accounts. We felt like we sold naturally carbonated beer where the first pint people were pouring was sediment and where carbonation levels were maybe a bit higher than what they were used to, that we wouldn't really be able to have a lot of long-term business with bars around the state. So we did what we thought we needed to do to get the beer out there, which was force carbonating it, trying to make it a bit more consistent. Once we start bottling our beer, we really strongly preferred the way that our beer presented in bottles, and we preferred the way that it presented naturally conditioned. So now when we do keg beer, it's all keg conditioned, naturally conditioned, re-fermented in the keg, which means that it is going to pour with some sediment initially. It needs some time to settle. It's going to pour more carbonated. You need to dispense it in much more of a European manner where you pour some of the beer, let the foam settle, and then top it off. A lot of bars aren't going to want to deal with that, and there's also the issue of line maintenance, which in Texas, the brewery or the distributor is responsible for, and that's an extra level of work that goes into it as well. So essentially, we have the option of presenting our beer in a format that we don't like as much, that we could sell for less money, and that requires a lot more maintenance on our part. That really doesn't strike us as quite as appealing as going in a different direction.
Right. All right.
The more you say, the less you make. That's perfect.
Fair enough. Here's a question from Rosham Brew.
I get it.
Do you experience a pellicle in the package?
Yes, not with all of the beers we do, but for example, Funk Metal, I see some kind of white flakes that kind of start gathering towards the neck of the bottle as it's left undisturbed, and I think that has to do with kind of that kind of diacetyl phase that the beer goes through, where you can see some active fermentation with wild yeast and bacteria still in solution during bottle conditioning, and the beer will throw up a pellicle, not like a super chunky one, and but it it was kind of freaky at first to see this little white film on top of the beer, but. So we do see, not with all of them, but with some of the beers, we do see a pellicle form.
And then it just kind of takes care of itself. It goes away?
Well, it just kind of,
it falls to the bottom?
Well, it just kind of goes in your glass.
I see. Because I was wondering if you have to keep it at the brewery while it doesn't leave the brewery until after that phase has happened, or this could happen while it's on the shelf.
That happens. I've yet to see it on the shelf, but we've definitely seen it in the brewery, and We've set beer out with the pellicle on it before. Okay. As long as we thought the flavors and the conditioning were good, then
it's fine. And as the consumers are becoming more educated about this, obviously some might be slower to learn that than others. Do you get any scary emails about, like, what the F is that white shit in my beer?
We haven't gotten that particular one yet. Okay. And I think to as a new brewery, we're standing on the shoulders of a lot of giants at this point. With not giants in terms of the amount of beer they make, but of the quality of really introducing. I mentioned Lost Abbey, Russian River, Jolly Pumpkin.
Yeah.
I think they probably had to deal with the freak out factor a lot more than we've had to now. Where our issue, we're still making a very small amount, but it's just like. The questions we get is like, well, when can I get more? And so we have an enormous luxury as new brewers that we owe to the the veterans in the industry.
Sure. Yeah. How many barrels are you guys making right now?
About 1,000. We actually brewed about 2,000 last year, sent about 1,000 of it to Oak, and then sold the rest. But yeah, we sold about 1,000 barrels, and probably won't do too much more of that. This year, maybe 1,200 to 1,500. We're very, very small.
Okay. And are you against growth? Is there a point in your mind where you go, no, that's all we're going to make, or are you just trying to do it slowly?
The big thing I want now is just an expanded barrel cellar, right? I mean, these beers, they kind of get in your skin, like where it's really like all you want to do, and I want more temperature controlled space for oak, which in Texas, means basically another build out of because you can't just store these beers at ambient temperature, and
I see.
So yeah. I want an expanded barrel cellar. I want it, but that's what interests me. We probably have all the stainless right now that we may ever have. Just not interested in a whole lot of more, growth in terms of volume. But I would like to make more of what we've done so far, because a lot of it is now just a couple hundred cases at most. And then on top of that, I'd like to, right now we're at a stage where it's kind of frustrating, where some of the projects I want to do, we just simply can't do it because we have about 350 barrels right now, and we're out of space, and so we need more space to do more kind of fun projects and experiments that may ultimately get sold or may get dumped or something like that. So that's the kind of growth I'd like to see. I mean, I could see maybe being, I don't know, 2 or 3 times bigger than we are now, but I don't ever see us being, your next regional brewery.
Okay. For barrel sizes, and have you thought about or considered, Chad Jacobson, we've talked about him. What are they called? I forget what they're called. He uses those big...
The fooders.
There you go.
Yeah,
have you considered that kind of a fermentation vessel?
We have, and I'd like to get some fooders in. For the time being, though, where we're still, going through very much a learning curve with these beers. I mean, again, like 3 years ago, I was, didn't know anything about this, and it's still a massive trial and error learning process where we have tons of beer that doesn't work out and ends up going down the drain. It's a lot better than it used to be, where like half our stuff just from our barrel program we thought were failures and dumped. But at this point it's better. But
no one ever says that on this show. I have to. You have to know
actually.
that other brewers are doing this, and they all puss out and don't tell me that. They don't say we dump a lot of beer. You're the only one who come in here and is honest about that.
I think it would be more embarrassing to say that we don't dump a lot of beer. It's like we experiment a lot. We do a lot of things that we don't know if they're going to come out good or not, but we're going to sell it to you either way. I mean, that to me would be a much more embarrassing position to take than to say that we experiment a lot. We do things that we're not quite sure how they're going to turn out, and if they're not good, then they don't leave the brewery, which is where we're at.
Well, and I think beer drinkers know. I mean, we've ran into a few beers that are suddenly labeled Belgian. That's a contamination issue
Belgian
that you
surprise.
had in your brewery, and you're trying to make money off that batch instead of dumping it, which I can't fault anybody for, but people know. People know. Be honest about it.
And there's probably, I'm not saying that everyone who comes in here and says they don't dump it is lying, but it's probably also the types of beer that you guys are doing, too. Like you're saying, Ron, you guys are experimenting a lot. Probably the guy who's just doing the pale ale and things like that is being pretty honest when he says he doesn't dump a lot of beer. But
makes sense. But back to fooders. I mean, right now we probably will get some fooders at some point. But right now, I'm just kind of having fun with the variation from 60-gallon barrel to 60-gallon barrel, and that's kind of a lot of fun to see the variation. Where given our limited space, if we had just a couple fooders, it would be, I think, a little more monochromatic in the flavor profiles. So for now, I'm more of a fan of the smaller barrels.
Okay. And are you using new barrels?
No, we get them from mainly wineries, some distilleries, but there's a very vibrant wine industry in Central Texas, and places like Fredericksburg and Stonewall, which are just like a 2-hour drive from our brewery, there's like 20 wineries. So we have some of the advantages some of the Northern California brewers have here with the access to wine country and barrels.
Okay. And from like a inoculation standpoint with the barrels, do you end up having like favorite barrels, like your workhorses that that this barrel's so badass, anything I put in it, it's going to be good?
Definitely. There's certain ones that even though who would think we would have to retire them because we don't scrape our barrels. Like eventually, the pores in the barrel will kind of become lined with kind of beer stone and some of the penetration of the oxygen, which will kind of drive some of the souring, will cease, and you can either take the barrel apart and scrape them, and then certainly with like the fooders, for example, like I know they scrape. They've talked about how they scrape their barrels to kind of open up the pores. So we don't do that. We do about like 3 fills and then retire the barrel. And sell them on as like rainwater collection or planters. But there's a couple that like we're surprised are still making some really nice sour beer after like 3 or 4 spins they're some kind of cherished barrels.
That's still a short lifespan, it would seem. Only running beer through it 3 times. That buildup happens that quickly, huh?
Yeah, we've been disappointed with some of our older barrels, just in that they kind of have to lose their luster in terms of the flavors they're producing, and we attribute that to the oxygen permeability kind of decreasing below levels that we want. I don't know that for a fact, but that's our theory on it.
Got it.
That makes sense. That's why, like when you go to Cantillon, they have that crazy contraption with the chains that they use to kind of scrape off that outer layer, or the inner layer, I should say, in the barrels to help create some of that micro-oxidation in the
future.
Yeah. They'll reuse barrels, dozens and dozens of times, apparently.
Yeah, and that that's exactly right. And I love that they have developed a really cool contraption to do that. Yeah.
It's so medieval.
Yeah.
Looking too. It looks like a torture device.
Yeah.
So what's the size of your brew house? You mentioned the 30-barrel prank tanks. I get the feeling your brew house is smaller than that.
We do have a 30-barrel brew house.
Really?
It's
for 1,000 barrels a year.
Yeah, we only brew about once a week. Okay. It's a 2-vessel system, mash lauter tun, and then boil kettle.
So you put the hot liquor in the fermenter, and how do you get?
We do actually have a
on demand.
Yeah, we have a hot and cold liquor tank, which are just dairy tanks.
Okay.
And so yeah. Okay. My brother Michael, who's my co-founder, he's kind of our person who built everything and kind of keeps the brewery going. Nice. Yeah, we'd be screwed if that was my job.
Nate, we've got a little time to try your Brett Saison. You want to do that?
Yeah, absolutely. This is a beer that some folks had at the Winter Brews Fest recently. We had an opportunity to pour a little homebrew there, so I brought this, and kind of fits right in with some of the beers that we've had, too, from Jester King today. I mean, it's especially similar to maybe something like Wonderkind. I actually blended fresh Belgian blonde ale in with an aged Saison that had been aged with Brettanomyces bruxellensis.
Okay.
Because I thought the pure Brettanomyces bruxellensis Saison had a little bit too much aggressive Brett character, and I wanted some of the fresh hoppiness, kind of similar to what these guys are talking about and blending in a fresh beer.
Okay.
So I'll send that around, and we can talk about it a little bit. But it originally kind of started out as a Saison that I wasn't really happy with the full level of attenuation, like a standard straight up Saison. It was mostly Belgian Castle Pils and just a little bit of sugar, like Hallertau, Styrian Goldings, and Saaz at Flame. And I remember you mentioned that, Jeff, that you like to use Saaz in the brew house as well, too. I think, and that's the one that shows really well with Saison type yeast. And I didn't quite get the attenuation I wanted. It stopped at about 10, 12, or about 4 Plato, and about 3 to 4 Plato. And I just thought adding Brett might be an interesting way to take that beer into a new direction and give it new life.
Okay.
And then let it sit for about 6 months. Used Brett bruxellensis because it was kind of a known quantity from beers I'd done before with Brett. That's the classic kind of Orval strain of Brett. And I just thought it would be interesting to see how it went. Really liked it a lot. Brought it to Winter Brews Fest, and people got a good reception for it.
Yeah, we were all raving about it.
Yeah, it's a really...
So just to be clear, you weren't trying to repair a beer. We get that question a lot where people are like, "Oh, okay, I'll just add Brett to it if it's a bad beer." But the beer tasted okay, but you were looking for attenuation. I
just wanted a little more dryness. Yeah, exactly. And I thought it would be kind of an opportunity to... I was doing a lot of traditional Saison brewing last summer, and that was... I wanted to try Brett at some point, but didn't know which beer it might be, and this was an opportunity presented itself to give that a shot. So, and it was I never intended originally to put fresh beer back into it, but thought that would be one way to add an interesting element to complexity, kind of similar to what Jeff and Ron were talking about earlier too. So, and
you can taste that similarity from like the Petite that we had first in the brightness of it, in that hop brightness that is in the Petite and your beer. So I think they're really both a good testament to this blending fresh hoppy beer back in.
Yeah, I was really intrigued by what the stuff that Crooked Stave is doing with pure Brett fermentation, Brett adding aromatics to beer. And in this beer in particular, there's not a big sourness or not a huge funky character from the Brett, but I think it adds like almost like a sandalwood, like kind of a cool, interesting aromatic. Yeah, you get that on it. It's kind of a fun way to play around with the beer. So a bit of an experiment. And I actually thought it was pretty cool that it was, better than I would have hoped in some ways. It's a standard Saison range in terms of not too high ABV. It's about 6% alcohol, so it started in the mid 50s and finished out in about the single digits after adding the Brett. So I think it let it sit about 6 to 9 months is an interesting range to let these beers kind of sit, and you don't really get much of the Brett character that you want before that, I don't think.
Did you say any of it was Brett primary, or was it all?
No, the primary was the White Lab Saison 1, the 565.
Oh, right.
Which can be a fussy one, which is one reason why it probably didn't finish out on me like I wanted. I had used that yeast previously and had great results, but for whatever reason, this particular batch didn't go as far as I wanted. So
it's a good mistake.
Opportunity to play with Brett on it.
Yeah. So if this sat around for another year or so, would the Brett keep going? Is there more?
Possibly, but I took a gravity on it today before bringing it over, poured a sample, and checked it again. It was about like less than half a Plato, so I don't know if there's much left for it to go any further. But
it's interesting because you want some Brett flavor in there, obviously, but you also want that fresh hop flavor that you have in there.
Yeah.
So it's a beer that you sort of age and don't age. That, like you're saying, that 6 to 9 month range but you maybe don't want it because maybe I would get a little more Brett flavor out of it later on, but then I'm missing out that other great quality that's going to stale.
Exactly.
Or fade.
And trying to dry hop directly had been one direction I'd taken with these style of beers before, at least maybe a Brett finished beer or something along the lines of a traditional Orval or something. Those are nice too, but I thought that might be too aggressive in this one in particular. So blending back some fresh beer that had some nice sauce character was one way to do that without adding pellets. It might be a little vegetal or harsh to go that direction.
Yeah, it's certainly not that. It's really good.
It's a good beer.
Thanks, man.
What's just a base Saison recipe, roughly?
Base Saison recipe is 95% Castle Pils and then 5% turbinado sugar. There was a bittering charge of Hallertau for about 20 IBUs, and then Styrian Goldings for about another 10 IBUs for the 30 minutes before flame out, and then about 2 ounces of Czech Saaz at flame out. This is for a 10-gallon batch. So pretty simple Saison style or Belgian style recipe, and then of course the primary ferment was that DuPont strain, the WLP 565 Saison one.
Why the sugar? Is that to get it to dry?
Help to drive attenuation, yeah. Exactly.
I see.
You can almost skip that with a beer like this maybe and just mash really low. I should mention that too. Mash temp was 147 on this, so fairly low to help drive attenuation.
Fuck the Reinheitsgebot.
Yes, exactly.
So what was the ratio of Brett beer to young beer in this?
Good, yeah, really good point. The ratio is about 50-50. About 50-50. I like the idea of 2/3 to 1/3, though, like you guys are talking about. That's a kind of a cool realm to do it too. 2/3 fresh beer or 3/4 fresh beer?
We use more fresh beer and add a small amount of mature beer, but it's not just Brett beer. It's also it has the acid bacteria in there as well.
Right. Yeah, this didn't have any of the lactic acid or acetobacter kind of qualities to it either. It's just straight Brett. So.
How did you decide on the 50-50? Did you do samples at different ratios, or you just went for it?
I tried to, and then I just said, well, forget it. Let's just bring this to the Winter Brews Fest and try it blending at 50-50. I actually wasn't sure I would get what I wanted out of it. Did that and let it sit for about 3-4 days, went back and tasted it and was pleasantly surprised. So.
You were like, it's just a bunch of douchey BNers anyway.
Yeah, they're just going to drink it down. Nobody really cares. So,
Right.
So you blended it and served it. Well, what about blending it and cellaring it to see what happens now with the blended beer?
I do have a little bit left. I think I am going to do that. Just let it sit and see how it goes. See if it changes, and if it changes in a way that I like, or maybe not. But yeah, there's only probably about a gallon left. So
it's a great beer. Good job.
Thanks, man. A lot of fun.
Are you guys able to do festivals? I know you said they weren't your words. My words would be that your festivals suck. Because you can't have beer from all over the place. But with your small size, are you able to go do festivals?
Yes. We've done a number of festivals. Actually, our favorite so far, and I encourage anyone listening to check it out because it was really just an incredible festival. It was the Shelton Brothers 12% Festival. It was in Worcester, Massachusetts last year. And this year it's going to be in Portland, Maine, and it's just an incredible gathering of just small artisanal brewers.
Nice.
But we go to some other ones. Ron, you're headed to, South Carolina.
Yeah, that's right. Charleston Brewvival is next event that we're doing. That's coming up in just a couple of weeks. We're really selective at this point about festivals that we do. It's got to serve a purpose for us and really try to get our beer specifically to people that we think will appreciate it. Our motto at Jester King is that we brew what we like, drink what we want, and offer the rest of those who share our tastes. And
Nice.
We have to try to target people that we think are likely to share our tastes, which isn't to say that that's not going to happen at some of the festivals that we skip, but we just don't have enough beer to be able to do everything. So we have to try to choose the ones where we think we'll reach out to our most likely consumers.
Got it. Okay. All right, guys. Well, thanks so much for bringing in the beer.
Pleasure.
We have more to taste.
We've got more. Well, and I'm not throwing you guys out either. We got a little more I got to get to, but you're welcome to stick around. But I did want to thank you for taking the time and even, especially for coming all the way here. We like having in-studio guests much better.
Oh, this has been really cool. It's been an honor to be. I'm a big fan of the show, so it's really cool to be here in person. So
That's awesome. You guys didn't put $40 in this case, did you?
Yeah, was there $40 in this box of beer that you sent by chance? No, huh?
That's too bad. All right.
We'll see.
Maybe Moscow kept 20 and gave them 20 back. Be quiet.
Excellent beers, excellent packaging, and thanks so much for spending time with us.
Yeah, the labels are equally as rad as the beer. It's a nice find.
One last question: are you a Steel Panther fan, Jeff, or are they not metal enough for you? Everything I say about Jester King from here forward hinges on the answer to this question.
Honestly, I've got some UCD. I haven't heard. I don't know Steel Panther, so I'd love to
roll some for you right here.
We'll have to play some at the break.
Also, Brain Oil, Nate's band.
Right.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right, Jeff Stuffings and Ron Extract. We didn't get to talk to the brother who changed his name tonight, but the other Jester King in the group here. And thanks, guys, for being on the program. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you very much.
So here's what we're going to do. We're going to take a break, and at the break, I'm going to play a little audio from SF Beer Week. What are we going to listen to, Moscow? Is it the opening gala that we're going to be listening to?
It's pronounced gala.
The opening ball.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's actually not. No, it's no. The new opening ball is now 2 nights earlier because it's SF Beer 14 days, right?
Right.
Yeah, this is from Anchor Brewing Company. You and
their opening event. Okay.
Yeah.
So, all right, so we'll hear that at the break. We'll come back. I got more to do. We're going to taste some Moonlight Mead, and we're going to talk to the boys from Fast Track, the people from Fast Track, I should say. I'm not sure they're both boys.
But they probably are.
There you go. All right, it's The Session. Hang in there. We'll be right back.
You're listening to the Brewcasters. The Brewcasters on the Brewing Network.
All right, BN Army, it's trivia time. What's the only homebrew shop with over 1,000 recipe kits, $4.99 shipping on orders over $100, and is also home of the Wolf Shirt? The one and only answer is Austin Homebrew Supply. For over 20 years, they've specialized in creating recipes such as the best-selling Texas Blonde Ale, Apocalypso, Hot Bomb 2.0, and Double Chocolate Stout. And they just recently unveiled their small grain kits that produce 1 gallon of beer. Visit AustinHomebrew.com to browse their extensive catalog of equipment and ingredients. They also have mini clone recipes of your favorite commercial beers. They're the exclusive retailer of BrewVent Yeast Fuel as well, Yeast Nutrient, and the all-new Bodybuilder. Follow Austin Homebrew Supply on Google Plus to participate in video hangouts on popular brewing topics. So visit AustinHomebrew.com today and make sure you sign up for their weekly email with news and specials. Austin Homebrew Supply, AustinHomebrew.com.
When I order a beer, I want my server to know more about it than I do. I want someone who enjoys good beer and loves helping others enjoy it too. I want someone who knows how to pour a perfect pint for any beer style. I want a Cicerone. The Cicerone certification program is creating the type of people who help you enjoy great beer. Home brewers and craft beer lovers know beer is more flavorful and complex than ever, and it takes some serious knowledge to store and serve beer right. Cicerones know beer. There are 3 levels in the Cicerone program: Certified Beer Server, Certified Cicerone, and Master Cicerone. Cicerones are truly the sommeliers of beer. The best beer locations have a certified Cicerone on staff. Relaxed and unpretentious, Cicerones are tested on storing and serving beer, beer styles, flavor and tasting, the brewing process and ingredients, and pairing food with beer. Learn more about your next beer guide at cicerone.org. Certified Cicerone, because it takes top talent to present a perfect pint.
Did you know the Brewing Network's very own Code Writing Fool's son, Ryan Wolf, has opened a beer mecca in Missouri? The Wolf Brow House of Beer has hundreds of beers from all over the world and is conveniently close to I-70 in St. Peters. Free tastings, Saturdays 4 to 6 p.m., featuring special guests from local breweries. The best build-your-own six-pack around, with every style represented. And kegged craft beer available for your kegerator, too. There's always something new at the Wolf Brow House of Beer. New and hard-to-find beer every week. No 2 visits are the same. Just like passing out at the Rat Pad.
Hi, this is Ryan from Wolf Brow House of Beer. Mention the Brewing Network when you stop in for some cool free stuff. Mention JP for a swift kick in the ass.
The Wolf Brow House of Beer. Beer with personal service from a member of the BN Army.
This is Code. Visit my son's shop or I'll yank the BN website down.
www.wolfbrow.com. Here's a bite for beer lovers. Soft caramel made with real craft brew and coated in chocolate. And Hop Drops, hard candies made with real hop oil. Introducing Beer Candy from beercandy.com. Beer Candy's amazing caramels come in 4 mouth-watering flavors. IPA, bitter gold, wrapped in smooth white chocolate. Lager, made with a familiar beer from Boston and coated in milk chocolate. Lambic, soury Belgian goodness full of fresh raspberry and dipped in dark chocolate. And Stout, roasty cocoa chocolate insanity. Hop Drops are made with Fuggles or Cascade hops and are known as the candy that bites you back. Choose from sampler and full sizes of both and make your mouth jump to life. All at beercandy.com. Hop Drops and beer caramels satisfy your sweet tooth as only a beer lover could with Beer Candy. Visit beercandy.com today.
And now, Northern Brewer presents What If Homebrewers Ruled the World?
Ladies and gentlemen, if you'll follow me, I will lead you into the gallery area. Now, the first piece up for sale today is a Jamil Zainasheff original, a bottle of 1997 vintage Evil Twin.
I say.
A bidding for this one-of-a-kind piece will start at £7,000. And if you'll continue to follow me, ladies and gentlemen, I can show you a rather abstract piece from Bay Area brewer Justin Crossley. It's a German Doppelbock entitled Justin's Giant Bock. The brewer's notes here indicate that this beer had excellent mouthfeel.
That's just a crazy dream. Or is it? With Northern Brewer, a thirsty nation can craft its own ale and lager for the greater good of mankind. Northern Brewer, the home of superior customer service and the finest selection of home brewing goods for the future.
Wait till you can pour it out of your own kegerator.
Yeah. I mean, your friends will look at you with awe.
And it's just hot.
It is?
It's so super hot.
The home of live beer radio.
Because like beer, radio shouldn't suck. You're listening to The
Session. Now it's short and stout.
with Scott the Jew.
Well, it kind of is, but it's more that there was just no other intro to do for this particular segment, which happens to be coverage of the first event of SF Beer Week. And when we say SF Beer 12 days, we really do mean that. This was Wednesday night at Anchor Brewing Company. The opening celebration technically is Friday night. Anyhow, it was the unveiling of their California Lager as a year-round release after wild success as a seasonal. You can start to look for it on the shelves. It's got the bear from the California flag or something close to it on the label. For this particular beer, Anchor has partnered with the California State Parks Department to help with funding by donating a portion of the proceeds from the sales of the beer to the parks. And I know we're getting a lot of mileage out of Anchor these days, but believe me, you would too if you could. That place is unreal. As we were leaving, the ever-gracious Mark Carpenter was like, you're welcome here for a pint anytime. And I was like, don't make me take you up on that because I'll be here every damn day. And I would, is the thing. I would. Anyhow, let's start off with
Jerry Emery, and I'm the Director of Communications for the California State Parks Foundation. They approached us several months ago about a potential partnership in conjunction with the release of the new California Lager, and of course we were quite excited about that. We do have, a lot of partners up and down the state, and to be able to coordinate with such, Anchor Brewing is San Francisco. They've been around for close to 150 years. Great tradition, and they're very concerned about the status of the California State Parks, which have been taking a huge hit these last few years. And so any help that we can get is very much welcomed. We have a multifaceted agreement, the center of which is that a percentage of each six-pack of California Lager that is sold will come to the foundation. And we have what is called a discretionary grant program, and we'll create a new discretionary grant named after Anchor Beer, and we'll use that to give grants to people that are working in state parks and on behalf of state parks to improve them and keep them open. Over the years, a $1.4 billion with a B deferred maintenance issue has accumulated in state parks. And that means things like, electrical systems that haven't been fixed, septic systems, because a lot of state parks are in rural areas and they don't have access to normal sewage systems, historic parks that have leaky roofs. It goes on and on and on the list of deferred maintenance. So the more that we can work with companies like Anchor Brewing that step up to help us out, is really quite phenomenal.
Hi, my name's Jeremiah. This is a California lager. It's a recipe that came from Boca Brewing, which used to be up in Tahoe, up in northern California. In the 1800s, they couldn't lager beer on the West Coast, and that's how we ended up with steam beer in San Francisco. But in Tahoe, they had ice lakes and snow, so they could pack in their barrels and whatever vessels they were using to hold the beer and actually let the lager yeast work all the way through it. So we got the recipe from Boca Brewing, and we put it out as our first Zymaster release. It was a huge hit, so this year for San Francisco Beer Week, we're releasing it as our newest year-round release. It's California Lager.
Jay's grabbing a sip of it. What's your impression?
If Mexican weed were...
Off the record.
Sorry, on the record. It's a great beer. It's kind of a light, easy drinking lager. It's not a big... doesn't have a ton of body to it. It's just kind of smooth. It's a little bit fruity. I think that might be from the steam yeast, but I think it's a great beer. I think I would drink a six-pack before I even felt it, for one.
JP, what are your impressions?
I think it's good.
I didn't. It sounds like I cut in the word good when you said this is shitty, and I made it say this is good.
No, I really enjoy it, as a matter of fact. It has a spiciness and a sweetness that kind of blend together. There are some fruity notes. In my mind, it's fruity like if you eat a underripe apricot. I think it goes really well with the hops and the yeast characteristics. I really enjoy it.
I'm Dave Burkhardt. I've been with the brewery almost 22 years, and I was involved in all of the label design, graphics design, packaging, point of sale, that sort of thing, and was intimately involved with our wonderful designer, Jim Stitt, on the creation of the label for our new beer, Anchor California Lager.
At only 22 years, it strikes me that Mark would consider you a baby.
I'm just a pup. I'm just a pup, or a cub, I guess you should say, since there's a bear on the label. It is actually kind of an amazing place to work when you think about the legacy that everybody has around here and the incredible history. You ask anybody that's been here for a while, and they've got great stories to tell about the early days and great knowledge about craft brewing. This label was super, super fun, and it was inspired by the original label from Boca Brewing Company, which was the label for California's first genuine lager beer. And but we, of course, wanted our own label, our own special label for the product. When I went out to meet with Jim Stitt, the label designer, on his boat in Sausalito, as we always meet, I said, okay, one of the things that's got to have a bear. We got to have a bear on the label. And he says, I don't do bears.
He might have thought you meant big gay men, though.
That's it. And so I said, okay. So I had a wonderful book called Bear in Mind by a woman who works at the Bancroft Library at UC Berkeley. We leafed through the book together, and we found the perfect bear in this book. And it's a bear that was woodcut from 1856 that was first published in Hutchings, California magazine. And I went over to the Bancroft Library, and our wonderful friends over there were willing to scan it for us from the original and give us the bear that became the bear on our label. And that bear, that very same bear, was the inspiration for California's current state flag. Although you might notice on the flag, the bear is heading in the other direction. Oh, yeah. Our bear heads east, and that's the illustration we had with him heading east. And the bear on the flag, of course, heads west.
You could have easily mirror imaged it in Photoshop, right? And is there a reason you didn't?
Absolutely. The reason we didn't is because Boca Brewing's bear on their label, on their original label for the original lager in California, was also heading east. And so we thought it was appropriate to just leave him alone. And actually, it's very appropriate to leave a grizzly bear alone.
I thought you were supposed to run screaming at it or waving your arms wildly.
All you have to do is run faster than your friend.
My name is Keith Greger. I'm the CEO and president of Anchor Brewers and Distillers.
Where'd you find that job listing, like Craigslist or Monster?
Not quite. I had to put the whole thing together myself. This particular beer, Anchor California Lager, we had developed under our Zymaster series and got such a phenomenal reaction to it, we decided whether we could actually commercialize that beer. And that amount of effort, takes us a bit of time to figure it out, how to do it. We've managed to do it. We've got it out now. But when an Anchor puts out a product, we don't want to just put out another beer. We want it to be meaningful to what we're doing at Anchor. And so the great fun thing for us was really looking back into the history of beer in California. Now we're launching it under the Anchor brand as Anchor California Lager. Same beer, same principles, but we found it's got phenomenally great reviews and a lot of interest in it. And then, as you were saying about the parks, that for us was a natural. Think back to our histories. The history of Anchor Brewing Company and the history of California State Parks are about the same. We go back to the second half of the 19th century. And so with this beer reflecting that, it's been a fun partnership. And I just was talking to some of the people from the parks, and they are absolutely thrilled with the relationship. The work that we do with our beer and the work that they're doing trying to raise the visibility on the parks can work hand in hand. So this is a relationship where the parks benefit and we benefit, and something that is more than just, sponsoring a NASCAR race or something stupid like that. It's something that's much more meaningful to us in terms of our real belief in trying to maintain the history of Anchor in San Francisco and its impact on California.
All right, there you go. Very special thanks to Anchor Brewing Company, as always. Best of luck in the partnership with the California State Parks Foundation and the excellent beer that makes it all happen. Stay tuned for more coverage of SF Beer Week 2013. And until the next one, it's Scott the Jew saying, L'chaim.
Wilson in deep, centering it, Gretzky. He scores! There's the hat trick for Wayne Gretzky.
You're listening to the Brewing Network. Because like beer, radio shouldn't suck.
Welcome back to the program. Thanks for hanging with us. Thanks to Moscow for giving us a little Anchor audio there. That was from the Anchor party that we got to go to this week, kind of kicking off SF Beer Week. It was a good time. Also wanted to thank, once again, Jeffrey Stuffings and Ron Extract, who are still hanging out with us from Jester King Brewery, and mostly because we've got more of their beer to drink. So we refuse to let them leave at gunpoint until they open the remaining beers with us. So we're going to do that. Plus, we got some mead to try a little bit later, too. But first, our next guest today are the people involved with a new invention called Fast Rack, and it's Mitchell and Casey. Hey, guys, you with us?
How's it going?
How are you?
Guys?
Thanks for being on the show.
Awesome to be here. Thanks for having us. Can't wait.
Canadians, huh?
They're Canadians, all the way from
Yeah, we might drop some A's in here tonight. Sorry.
So
we can interpret on the fly.
Yeah, don't be sorry.
I think that Canada is our second largest listenership, but they're at the top of our list for the listeners that we make fun of the most. So.
They're so easy.
Yeah. Where in Canada are you guys at?
We're in Toronto right now.
Beautiful. I like Toronto, actually, believe it or not.
Yeah, I don't like their hockey team, but the city's beautiful.
Yeah.
We don't have to talk about their hockey team. I'm a Vancouver Canuck fan, so whatever you say about those Leafs is all good.
There you go. So, Mitchell and Casey have invented a device that homebrewers and bar owners will be pretty enthusiastic about, I think, and it's called the Fast Rack. In fact, if you want to go right now to thefastrack.ca, you can check it out, and there's a video on how it works, but that's what we're here to talk about. Why don't I just let you guys describe to me what it is? I have one in front of me, of course, but I'd like to hear how you describe it.
Cool. So yeah, basically it's a racking system for the empties for storing and drying them. It's about the same size as a 2-4 box, like a 24 case of beer bottles. It's got 24 holes in it, so the bottles go in upside down. They stand very securely in place. They all drain. There's no pegs on the inside of the bottles, so there's nothing touching the inside. Once there's 24 bottles on the rack, you can actually put another one on top. They stack quite high. We actually, when we were filming our video, in the video it stacked 7 high.
Wow.
But we did have it upwards of 9.
Beautiful. You just don't recommend it? You're saying that it could it gets dangerous after
You got to
7.
push the envelope on your own, man.
Right.
Exactly. Depends how much you want to push it, right?
Right.
I'll push it real good.
So, I don't know if you guys know this, but I was a bartender for a long time. I've really moved up in the world. Now I'm an internet radio host. But before...
killing it.
Yeah, right. But before I was a bartender and dealing with empty bottles, so this is even before we talk about the homebrew benefits of this device. Dealing with empty bottles in a bar is a pain in the ass. And like just walking around and having to gather them all up on a tray, and I dropped the tray every third trip. So having a device that all these bottles just turn over and dump right into is just a fantastic idea for bar people. I would think that maybe one of you was a bartender before, realizing the need for this.
We haven't officially worked as a bartender, but we've attended enough house parties and hosted enough house parties that I think you could say we were.
There we go. Yeah. Okay. Now, what about the with the Fast Rack? You take the bottle, you flip it over, so it's in the rack upside down. What about the beer dripping out? Where does that go?
Well, we've actually got a tray underneath that to catch all the beer. So if you're looking at like a bar situation, instead of having to go find that sink or that slop bucket, you just drop it in the rack, and it actually drains all into the tray. So it's going to save you a whole bunch of time as well as the mess of actually finding a place.
Perfect. With also the added bonus of everybody who works at the bar can make a bet for who has to drink the slop in the tray.
Hey, we don't recommend that, but it's happened a few times.
Yeah, it's called a bar shot. You know that rubber mat that they pour drinks on? Well, it gets full of liquor after a busy night. And then if you don't like your coworkers very much, you make them do what's called a bar shot. And that is that at the end of the night, you dump the rubber mat into a shot glass, and someone's got to shoot it.
We're just trying to diversify and get beer involved in it, right?
I love it, yeah. And it's also, a much better beverage than a mix of all of the... I mean, think about it. It's like a Long Island iced tea gone berserk in that mat. So... Well, let's think about the homebrew uses now, too. I like how you mentioned that there is no... nothing touches the inside of the bottle. The bottle trees that we have now... It's literally like, think of the branches of a tree, right? And when you put the bottle on it, you've got something coming into contact with the inside of the bottle. So if you're dealing with a sanitation issue, like homebrewers are, once you've sanitized the bottle and you put it in this rack, nothing comes into contact with the inside of it.
It's been pretty awesome. We've had a lot of great reviews on that so far.
And that's always something that I think homebrewers have asked us about too. It's a kind of when you get started and you start to learn how important sanitation is. People ask us, "Well, what do you do with your bottles once you sanitize them?" And a lot of people will kind of put them in their dishwasher rack. But again, something can come into contact with the inside of the bottle if you do it that way. So I like that this is just nothing touches the inside once you've sanitized.
It is a really good. It's a really good design. It's not relying on that little peg in there. Yeah.
How did you guys... What was the impetus for inventing this thing?
So it actually was made originally for bars and restaurants.
Okay.
The problem is bars and restaurants have so many bottles to deal with, and there's no real system for it. So Fast Track just kind of streamlines that system by providing a dedicated rack for the bottles.
Okay.
So it helps with the staff training, but just helps make it a little bit easier.
Mitch started working on the idea about 2.5 years ago for a school project. And I guess over time and about 8 to 10 prototypes labor and thousands of shop hours.
Really?
Eventually got to this final product that we have today.
How much beer was consumed in the research and development of the Fast Track?
Hundreds of gallons.
Right. I mean, you got to get...
I'm not even sure if we can remember.
Well, that's a nice write-off.
Yeah. I mean, you got to get empty bottles somehow, right?
That's R&D research. That's tax credits.
Right. So you guys, you really had to do 8 different prototypes before coming up with this one?
8 different designs. 20 prototypes were built.
Wow. That's a long process. I didn't...
And the molds and stuff like that, it's got to be a lot of money.
Yeah. Were you inventors before this, or just college students?
Oh, we like to dabble in other things. We're both fairly entrepreneurial, so when we come up with a good idea, we're not afraid to pursue it.
Okay. You're not like running porn sites on the side or something?
Well, none that you're going to know about.
Yeah.
Growing weed?
Yeah, JP probably knows about him, though. He's creepy.
Yeah, I'll tell you all about whatever you need to get into it. I've been looking for a partner, so.
All right. Once again, you can go to thefastrack.ca and check out the video. And by the way, right when you go to the homepage, here, let me go back to it, Tasty, so you
That's
can
my
see.
future
I saw
wife
the
on
units
me.
downstairs. We got some here. We can put
No, it's not. Don't, because I'm about to say very rude things about her.
What's going on?
Look at their website. Go to thefastrack.ca right now, and their marketing is pretty good. I'm just going to say
that's what they meant by rack.
Yeah, it's got my attention.
Yeah,
the rack's on the right, and
right. That's a
fastrack.ca.
That's not really your girlfriend, though, right?
I mean,
fiance.
Depends who's asking, right?
Right. Yeah, well done. You just took that. You just stole that off the internet somewhere and used it on your website.
You didn't pay for that one.
Yeah, I could have paid for that.
Oh, thefastrack.ca.
Yeah, thefastrack.ca. Go check it out. And what's cool, actually, is that the website is then kind of segmented into: are you a home brewer? Do you own a bar or a restaurant? Or you maybe just have a home bar?
Yeah.
And then it kind of directs you the right way to tell you about the product.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm a home bar enthusiast right now.
Right.
That poor model. Her bra is like a size too small.
I do feel terrible for her.
So do I.
How can people get the Fast Track right now? Is it in homebrew shops?
We've got it in I'd say about 15, maybe 20 in the last couple weeks.
Nice.
There's quite a few in Pennsylvania, Colorado. I know California, as well as Texas. There's been a few shops. We're working hard to kind of get it in with either LD Carlson or BSG Handcraft, so they can hopefully help supply it to the rest of them across the states.
Okay.
But there's a lot of orders online. It's all e-commerce. That went live about 2 weeks ago now.
Oh, okay. So people can buy directly from the site.
Yeah.
Okay.
Check out Fox Equipment too. That'd be a good wholesale for you guys.
Oh, another place to put it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Fox Equipment with 2 X's.
Okay.
Yeah. Awesome. They do a lot of draft stuff, a lot of bar nonsense. I see it's proudly made in the USA.
Oh.
100% down in P-Town.
What's wrong? Something wrong with China? What's the problem?
Wait a minute. The Canadians, and it's proudly made in the USA?
Hell yeah.
It's damn expensive to make anything in Canada.
Oh, right. I see.
They know what side their Fast Rack is
racked
on.
I love proudly made in the USA. Money going to Canada.
Hell yeah.
You guys are geniuses. I love it. What I'm thinking about right now, what I also like about it as a homebrew bottle rack, I have one of those bottle trees. Doesn't every home brewer eventually get one of those bottle trees?
Do you use it?
I used it once.
Yeah.
And it's enormous. It's an enormous monstrosity that doesn't fit anywhere.
Well, and if you break one of those pegs off, which I've done, you have to buy a whole new ring, or you're missing that one section. So this way, it seems a lot much more better.
It's basically unbreakable.
Yeah.
JP's our marketing.
You'd have
genius.
to drive a tank over that Fast Rack to put a dent in it.
Really? Yeah, and I mean, just the way I'm looking at it now, it does. So with the bottle rack itself, the Fast Rack itself, including the tray. Let me see that thing, Moscow. Including the tray. I mean, this can fit like on a kitchen shelf in the cabinet. Whereas my bottle tree ended up on the side of my house because it was so enormous.
Some people actually build dens to hold their bottle trees in. I don't know. It depends on the size.
Yeah, I had to go buy a shed so I could put my bottle tree somewhere.
You need a force.
Yeah, this is much better. See, I don't bottle anymore because I'm a lazy douche.
Well, you don't brew anymore because you're a lazy douche,
right?
Yeah.
But this is my go-to bottle rack now. Moscow, maybe we should test it and clean up the desk with the bottles right now. All right, we're gonna do a live test of the Fast Rack right now.
Will they fit the?
That's a good question. The bottles we have all over our desk are 750 mil. Does it fit those bottles too?
Should fit about 14 of them or so.
Okay.
Wow.
Don't make sure you don't dump any good. Well, we'll just do the bar shot afterwards.
Yeah, I was gonna say, don't worry about ketchup. We'll get the tray on that.
Right.
Yeah, I want to finish this beer. If you can, don't dump anything.
And by the way, if it doesn't work, he's gonna dump bottles all over my expensive studio equipment. So I hope your R&D paid off.
Promise we didn't put a pinhole in that one for you.
All of these have beer in them. They all have beer in them. We're pussies here tonight.
Why do they all have? What happened? Oh, there you go.
See, you know what I don't mind about doing the bar shot out of this thing is, normally with all that foreign-made stuff, I wash the shit out of it before I get it. Now that I know it's made in the USA,
you don't mind?
I'll lick it. I don't give a shit.
Right. So, it does fit the 750 mils,
fits them really well.
It does.
I was surprised about that. I thought that maybe it was only for 12 ounces.
Hey, Scotty, do me a favor. You want to show that by Jay's shoulder so we can get it on the camera?
Oh, yeah. Put it on the camera. Right now we have 3 bottles in it because the rest of them still have beer.
Yeah.
Not bad.
That fits pretty well, man.
Yeah, I wasn't sure it's going to fit those 750s. Yeah. Works well.
It'll handle those. It'll handle those bomber bottles, too, the 22-ounce ones.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Take those, no problem. Take a few more of those as well.
Okay. Well, I like it. I'm glad that you didn't invent it sooner. I might not have quit my bartending job. I used to hate that part of the process. And how long has it been on the market?
We've been we started on the bars and restaurants. It would have been kind of like September, October.
Okay.
And then we were kind of doing some online stuff in December and just found out about all this homebrew stuff, and we've been just heavily running at it right now. It's been awesome.
Good. Because I'm not an inventor, I'm just curious. I mean, how are you getting it to the bars? Were you guys literally just walking in with the thing and saying, hey, you got to see this?
We definitely consumed a few beer while we were doing that.
Right.
As well.
Yeah. But, I mean, you know what I mean? How are you getting the word out to people like the bar owners?
Like for the independent bars, we actually went and just met them to get feedback.
Okay.
But all the major chains love it. Like we rolled out with a few Canadian chains.
Okay.
And we're testing with like a lot of the big hotel groups like Best Western, like Marriott Hotels, like Delta, those kind of guys.
Wow.
And they love it. Like I don't know, probably 10 or 15 major hotel chains have already got it in 1 or 2 locations trying it out because it makes everything a lot easier for their staff.
Right. Well, that's fantastic. Well, man, I wish you guys luck. It's like good old American, Canadian ingenuity. It's the
NAFTA, isn't it?
North America.
Yeah, there you go. Thank you. I forget that there's other parts of North America.
There's not. There's not. Yeah.
It's like the North American dream you guys are living here. Have either of you ever
in the U.S. while still living in Canada? It's great.
Right. Have either of you ever had a real job, or did you go straight from college to inventing?
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
Pretty straightforward.
Wow.
That's the Canadian dream right
Good luck with that.
I am so proud of the two of you right now.
Free healthcare and no real job? Who gives a shit?
You guys are brilliant. I love it. All right, it's Mitchell and Casey. You can go to thefastrack.ca and check it out. And I'm being serious right now. That I hate that bottle tree, and I didn't even realize how much I hated it until I saw the Fast Rack. And now
we're just trying to help you out. That's all.
Yeah, it will be fantastic for homebrewers if you're still bottling. Check it out by going to thefastrack.ca. Guys, I wish you luck. Keep inventing cool beer shit.
Thanks for having us on. Have a great night.
All right,
guys. Have a good night,
everybody.
Yeah,
take care.
Go Sharks.
There you go. Oops.
Did I say the balls? Did I say that? Oh, shit. I'm sorry.
These guys are living the dream, man. Just get out of college.
Oh, man.
Dude, what did they say? 20 iterations of that? Yeah. I mean, that's molds are what? Like $5,000 for that mold? Maybe more?
We can't even order a DVD correctly. Never mind getting a whole product.
We can order it just fine. We just can't produce one properly.
Yeah. I want to be an inventor. You guys are living the dream.
We're trying to, but we can't do it. We invented a DVD. And we fucked up on the metric system in the DVD.
Oh, we did that too.
Yeah, we did that too.
I don't know how we do anything. I don't know how we get anything done at all.
But I love us as a people.
Right. Great.
Yeah.
I don't know what that, but that's awesome.
Isn't it? That's a positive comment. You should give me credit.
Go check. That's true. I'll give you 1 point. Go to thefastrack.ca right now and check it out. Even to just look at that homepage, which I've been staring at the whole time.
It's kind of distracting.
All right. So we've got a few things to do. We have a mead tasting to do tonight.
Yes.
Do we not?
Yes, we do.
Is Michael going to join us?
He is going to join us. He wants to call in on Skype. He's actually listening now, so if we're ready for it...
Yeah, go grab it.
We can go grab it, and I can tell him to call in.
Yeah, have him do that. I don't have any breaks left in me.
Yeah, are you getting that, Moscow?
We did it. We played all of our commercials for tonight, so now we just got to get through it. We got to power through it.
All right, Moscow's getting the mead. I will...
MEAD.
So what about that Adam and Eve? They got a great website, hey?
Oh, I got to do that, yeah. Here, thank you, Tasty.
Sure.
Here, you want to listen to the Boner Chicken intro real quick?
Yeah,
that's
good
Brewing
buffer.
Network's latest game, Boner Chicken!
amazing.
Stare at my boner, stare at my boner. It moved, you lose.
Boner chicken. Hey, speaking of boners, if you go to adamandeve.com right now and use coupon code... What is our code? Oh, BNARMY. BNARMY.
He's getting over his hangover. I can tell.
Man, I am stupid today.
You are on Do Not Disturb on Twitter. I don't know if Bevo passed my message on to you. Probably
No.
On Skype?
Because I don't keep you open all the time.
All right, and now he should be able to... Oh, he's calling
I wish
me.
I could do the... What the...
He's calling me.
Okay, good.
Hey, Michael, how are you, brother?
Hey, Justin, good. How about yourself?
I'm great, except that every time I see you on Skype, you scare the crap out of me with that look.
You didn't see a close-up of you on this show a few minutes ago, did you?
No. Was it pretty bad?
Well, look in the mirror.
I've got that hangover today. Hey, Michael, you want to hang out while I do my Adam and Eve read real quick?
Yeah, no problem.
I'll talk about dildos and stuff real quick.
Don't worry.
AdamandEve.com. Right now, you get use coupon code BNARMY, and you get 3 free adult DVDs from all sorts of different genres, like Chunky, I think is one of them, right,
Chunky.
Devo? And no, I didn't mean. I just meant
shut up.
Chocolate Frosty consumer is probably one of them. Cheese eater.
All Asian, and I mean it. There's really a lot of categories there. I'm big silly, but it's true. And you also get 50% off just about any item, and you also get free shipping, and you also get a secret gift. So all sorts of reasons to go over to adamandeve.com. They have a mobile site, too. So if you just can't wait till you get home, you can do it from your phone right there on the BART.
In traffic, in BART. Oh, can you imagine on BART?
Right when you're sitting on the crowded bus, you can just do your online Adam and Eve shopping right from your mobile phone.
I'm going to do some Adam and Eve browsing and see if they sell any trashy novels.
They probably do.
I would imagine.
You like trashy novels, do you?
Not really, but I need to get into something.
Right. That's what Sam said to her. Please, get into something. All right, anyway, go to adamandeve.com right now. Use coupon code BNARMY. All right. We've got some mead to try. And Michael, who's a longtime friend of the show, love this guy and his meads, has sent us the... you're going to love this, Bevo. He sent us the Sensual to try today.
Ooh.
Which is kind of a good Adam and Eve segue.
I want that.
It is. You should become the official drink of Adam and Eve, Michael.
We can work on that.
Yeah, it might help you out. So we wanted to talk about mead with Michael a little bit more because we kind of feel like mead is left out of the conversation a little too much. And because we like his stuff so much, we thought that this would be a good way to do it. So from time to time, we're going to do some mead tastings with Michael so we can become a little more educated about not just mead itself, but even, flavor descriptors involved around mead. So tell us about the Sensual. What are we about to drink here, Mike?
Yep, so that's a traditional mead made with wildflower honey and a touch of heather blossom honey from Scotland. So it's got a really nice, you're going to get a nice flavor from the honey. You're going to get a nice floral note. This is the type of mead that would go great with like spicy Thai food or Mexican. It really pulls out the heat from like a Mexican dish. So if you think about how a chef might work honey into a dish they might cook with, meads go with food better than anything.
Okay. I like that idea.
And look at the alcohol on that. It's about 15%, I think, 15.3.
Yeah. So
a little bit goes a long way.
Yeah, we should have started with this segment. My hangover would have gone away much sooner.
What I love about this is there's a just intense kind of raw honey aroma.
Yeah.
The aromatics are just... you wouldn't think that there's so much different between mead and wine and beer. They all kind of share a lot of the same characteristics, but that like raw kind of
earthy,
crystallized honey, earthy. That's amazing.
It's interesting that you say that it helps with the spice of a spicy food. It has a little spice of its own, it seems like to me.
Right. We use a Lavalin 71B for our yeast strain across the whole spectrum of the 66 meads I make. And I really like the flavor it pulls out of the honey. We don't ever back sweeten the honey or the meads. So you get that flavor, but we preload all the honey in at the beginning, and I can really kind of tell how far the yeast is going to push to make the alcohol content.
Okay. I like this mead.
And there is kind of a spiciness to it.
Yeah, it's a panty dropper.
I think all meads are panty dropper. They should just rename the category.
That's right. What's this mead? MEAD thing.
Now time for category 23, panty dropper.
Right. Jeff, Ron, are you mead guys? Do you like mead?
I actually used to do a fair amount of mead making before we started the brewery, but I did a little bit of a different style. I enjoy this quite a bit, but I kind of got into session meads, which was something that's I haven't really seen around a whole lot, but it was fun to do on a home mead making scale.
Right. Yeah.
We definitely don't play around in the session mead category at all. We go 13 to 14% and up. Our highest percent is 19% alcohol.
Is that because you're kind of more in line with like the wine category, and that's the general?
We fit in a beautiful niche right in between beer and wine. So, like, I've been at wine trade conferences, demo events. I've been at beer shows like the Beer Summit. We just got back from Mohegan Sun, where there were 15,000 people at this event.
Wow!
I've never seen a beer show with 15,000 people at it.
No, what kind of show was it?
It was a wine festival.
Okay.
We poured over 4,000 samples in 3 days.
Wow, that's crazy. I've been to the Mohegan Sun. They take my money every time. Great casino.
Yeah. Any comped rooms? No.
They don't comp anything. Those Indians.
What I'm getting not a lot of, I should say, but is like a buttery Chardonnay kind of thing.
Chardonnay too.
Yeah, not like butter as you think in beer, like a flaw.
Oh yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah,
but like a really nice white wine Chardonnay kind of creaminess.
Yeah, like a full mouthfeel.
Yeah,
kind of quality. Yeah, definitely.
Which I think carries a lot of the honey flavor right on through. It doesn't dry it out. It doesn't make it leave your palate. It's kind of just a nice layer of honey across your palate the whole time.
Yeah, and you said it's early on. You said it's made with just wildflower honey.
Yeah, this one's wildflower honey with just a touch of heather blossom honey. So our friends from Boston Beer Company hooked us up with 7 drums of honey from Scotland, and about 8,000 pounds worth of honey, and we put some of it to use in this batch.
Okay. I think that there's a bit of a grape flavor too, like wine. I think the buttery from the Chardonnay. You're absolutely right, but also just in general, kind of a grape flavor as well.
The thing we hear often is that people say, "Oh, I've tried mead, I don't like it." That's like saying you've tried Wonder Bread and you're not going to ever try any other bread.
Right.
There's a whole spectrum of flavor profiles that can be achieved. And I look at all the meaderies that are out there as colleagues, not as competitors.
Got it. Yeah. Now you have this listed as sweet. What would be the other descriptors? What are the different kinds?
So you could go with a semi-sweet to dry. I mean, most people don't think that honey wine can be dry like any traditional wine, but it's all a question of fermentation. Most homebrewers from your shows would know that you can make a really robust Russian Imperial Stout to a really dry Russian Imperial Stout to somewhere in between, and it's all a question of how much residual sugar or finishing gravity you have left.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I recall when we did the show with you and had the different ones that I think I was more like a dry mead fan, but this one is not too sweet.
It's not too sweet. I think the spiciness from the yeast kind of comes through and helps to I don't want to say dry it out, but maybe balance with the sweetness a little bit.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things most wine drinkers think, that if anything has any sweetness, it's not going to work with food because they've only got a frame of reference of grape wines. Think of what's sweet when it's grapes. It's jelly. What does jelly go with? Peanut butter. Okay, so let's move beyond that. With honey, think of how a chef may put a little bit of honey on a cheese plate, or put on a dessert, or even on some different type of roasts. It really kind of lends in with that flavor of the food.
Well, that's great. Did I see that he sent 2 bottles? Because I need a Valentine's Day gift for Kate.
No, he sent 1 bottle. Right, Michael?
Right.
I guess Taryn's getting a bottle of mead for Valentine's Day.
That's all Taryn's getting for Valentine's Day.
How many states are you in now, Michael?
We're in 23.
Wow. You're killing it, man.
Yeah, I'm right now in New York City. We just did a promotional event. The northeast of the United States just got hammered by this big snowstorm this past weekend. But even on Friday night during a blizzard, we sold this one store here in New York City, Top Hops, out of 3 cases of mead in 3 hours.
Wow. Good for you, man. I like to see that. Well, it's great mead. What's the website? People can go check it out.
MoonlightMeadery.com.
There you go. And how many different ones did you say you're doing now?
We're over 60. I think it's 66.
That's crazy. So there's something there for everyone. Go check it out. This one is wonderful. It's called Sensual. And if I drank a bottle of it, my panties would drop, I guarantee.
I think that they would.
Yeah.
They would just unstick from the wall. I would say that like sour beer fans would like this. Not that it's sour, but it has a little tartness to it.
Yeah. Well, and I think also people who really enjoy sour beer, it's the complexity of it.
Right.
It's not just that it's sour. I mean, it's almost a shame that that's the descriptor because...
Yeah. Well, then you just like vinegar, like nonsense, like Ron was talking about.
But because you can pick out so many different flavors from it, I think that's what's enjoyable about doing sour tastings.
Yeah.
And I think that a good mead like this is similar to that because you're picking out the different flavors of wildflower. You're picking out that you can talk about how the alcohol content affects it and doesn't affect it.
One thing I tell customers at the shop is, when you drive down a road for the first time, it feels like it takes forever, and you turn around, you go back, and it takes like a fraction of the time.
Yeah.
That's because your mind's recording all this information. When you taste mead for the first time, your mind starts going crazy because it's trying to pick up, like Justin, you were talking about the grapes. You get a little buttery note, you get a little spicy note. When you pair it up with food, it just kind of explodes into a whole new category of, oh, wow, taste how that tastes now. And whether it's a triple cream brie that goes with it or aged Gouda, everything seems to add a little bit of nuance to the flavor.
That's an excellent point.
Sounds good.
I'm glad I didn't have it with my Subway sandwich earlier.
It probably won't go with a tuna melt. But it might. I don't know.
You don't even know.
See.
Yeah. Well, Michael, it's wonderful. The one we had tonight is called Sensual, and thanks for sending it, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, sure. And that one's available. Like I said, we're in 23 states now, and we're going into all the Whole Foods stores in California and should be in Total Wine and More very soon as well.
Oh, wow. That's great. See, I don't go to Whole Foods, but I need to because their beer and apparently now mead selection is getting incredible.
I hear on Fridays they have good sales. They have like one or two cool things they put on sale every Friday.
Yeah.
So I need to start going to that. And then their beer supposedly is really reasonably priced, and I'm assuming all the rest of their beverages. So
yeah.
I can't wait
think
for
their
that.
beer is. There's a Whole Foods right by my office that I go to a lot. It's pretty comparable to, I would say, it's maybe a little cheaper than the local Bevmo.
Oh, wow.
But I wouldn't. Nothing else in that store is cheap. Don't believe them.
That's what I mean.
They do not have sales. It is a web of lies.
But their beer selection is good.
Well, now they have Moonlight Mead, man.
And Michael, I'm seeing your stuff everywhere now. I go into a lot of liquor stores. Let's be honest. And I see your stuff on the shelf increasingly everywhere, man.
Yeah, we just hired a new a broker to help us in California, Christy, and she's going to be doing a lot of promotional events for us. And we're really looking forward to it. Just this past month in January, we sold over 1,000 cases. Most of the wineries in New Hampshire are pretty happy to do 1,000 cases per year. And this month already, 8 days or 10 days in, we sold 500 cases. So we're really starting to hit it hard.
Congratulations, man. It could have happened to a nicer and more aggressive-looking man. All right, Michael. Thanks, brother, and we'll talk to you next time, huh?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to partying with you guys down at the HA conference in Philadelphia. We got picked as a speaker again this year.
Oh, good.
And our meads are distributed or will be distributed in Pennsylvania, so we're really looking forward to it.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, you'll be hearing from us about that, too. We're just working on our party now. We think we got a venue sorted out. I'm just waiting to kind of get the final word. But any way I can get you involved, we'd love to have you there. So
awesome.
You'll be hearing from me.
Excellent, guys. Take care.
Great. Take care, Michael. Thanks. There we go. Moonlight Meadery. Good stuff. And that's just good mead.
It is, and it's very, very different from beer. If you think that you're a hardcore craft beer drinker, and so you know flavors, and you've never tried mead before, well, you're in for a whole another world, man.
Yeah. Our dudes from Fast Track said they already got an order from a homebrew shop.
Oh, nice.
I'm telling you,
is it Nico Brew?
It could be. It's a rad product for homebrewers, so that's cool. They were good guys, Mitchell and Casey. And thanks also to Michael at Moonlight Meadery. And I still have the Fast Track website up, and God, it's such a wonderful website. Such a good.
I tried to put it on the webcam in my pseudo drunken state. And it didn't really work out so well. I'm sure everyone in the chat loved it.
All right, here's what we need to do. We didn't get a chance to record Stump the Brewer questions with these guys, did we? We wanted to do our new version of Stump the Brewer with you guys, but we missed it. You lucked out because inevitably we make you look bad. Okay. It's part of the deal. Well, let's do Drunk of the Week calls and get out of here, shall we?
Yeah.
888-401-BEER. We got some new Drunk of the Week activities for you tonight. So if anybody wants to call in and do that, then feel free to do so.
What game should we play first? Because we do have jingles.
Boner Chicken.
Did we play the jingles last time?
No, I didn't have them ready. So.
You guys are in for a treat.
So whoever calls in for Drunk of the Week first this time is going to be you'll go down in history as the first jingled drunk of
Apparently,
the week.
Code is in the chat and has been drinking a lot. And people want him to call in for Drunk of the Week.
Oh, there you go. Code. Call in for Drunk of the Week. I think that you'll excel at some of the games that we have for you to play.
Code is kind of a ringer. If he's like the chat, like if the chat were to select one person, he would be, the ringer. I'm trying to think of a suitable analogy, and it's not coming along.
That was a good effort.
Thank you.
Who's hungover, me or you?
Well, I was hungover, and then I got real sick. Not real sick, but now I'm better, and now I'm drunk.
Okay.
So.
If you're looking for recipe software, you can go to beersmith.com. You get a free 21-day trial. Head over to beersmith.com for your free trial now. And it's excellent software. Most of us are using it here now.
Yeah.
I don't brew, so but if I did, I'd be using Beersmith religiously. But you don't have to take my word for it. It's the only continually updated brewing software out there. Brad works real hard on it. The recent version is just fantastic, and there's just so many features that the other brewing software just doesn't have. It works on a PC or a Mac, and just go check it out. Trust me. You get 21 days to trust me, and then if I'm wrong, no harm, no foul.
That's right. And then when we want to decide to buy it, we sell it in the store.
Oh, there you go. Oh, that's right. You can buy a DVD copy from our store, or CD-ROM, I guess.
Yes, this DVD copy works.
And we didn't make it, so it's guaranteed to work.
Right.
It's not our product.
Not our product.
Yeah, so you can do that in our store, or go to beersmith.com right now and get your free 21-day trial. So, all right. Wow, Bevo, the phones are really lighting up, huh? Got some drunks this week, it appears.
It's probably Sam on each line.
Turn your microphone on if you want to speak with me. Should we go to Brew Onion first? He's calling in for Drunk of the Week. Didn't he call in with a question earlier? And now
he did.
Now he's drunk.
A multi-layered question.
My kind of guest.
That's right.
Thanks,
That's
Scott.
me.
What's happening, brother? How drunk are you?
What, are you crying?
I was crying, but I kind of got over it. I think I'm doing all right.
That's good.
I'm a little more... so... What's up with the jingle? What the fuck's going on? I'm not too sure about what's...
I'll take care of all that. Don't worry. Don't overthink things. Just relax. I don't want you to hurt yourself.
All right. I'm relaxed.
You're calling
if I can get a back massage, that'd be great.
You're calling from Texas, right?
Goddamn straight. Yeah.
That's too bad.
Yeah, well, I'm just going to say, you got to remember you're representing our guests here tonight, so I hope you bring it strong.
It was my intent.
All right, he's not in the chat, JP. That means...
he
gets to play... How dumb are you? How dumb are you? All right, you're going to play the new Drunk of the Week game called How Dumb Are You? And it's where we ask you questions of a 5th grade level and see if you can get the answers to that.
4th grade level.
Oh, is it 4th grade?
Yeah. I downgraded it.
You lowered it. It was 5th.
Yeah.
It was too hard.
We couldn't get them.
We tried it last week at 5th, and it was way too hard.
We didn't know the answer, so why embarrass ourselves?
My original plan was try to get remedial, because I thought they were extra dumb questions, but it turns out they're just lower grade questions asked at a higher level, so...
I see.
4th grade.
Okay.
All right. I appreciate the curve.
Well, you are from Texas.
All right. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Here we go.
Yeah, why not?
This question is multiple choice. Okay? What causes sound energy? Is it vibration, potential energy, noise, or people?
Or anal?
What causes sound energy?
Vibration. Come on. That's a little too easy, right?
All right.
You got real,
Okay.
you got real Italian on you.
Should
Yeah.
go to
Hey.
5th grade now, I'm thinking.
Right.
Hey, my son. Come on.
All right. I'll give you the next one. Multiple choice.
I love this game.
What is white light made of? A prism? Electricity running through a circuit? Force? Or different energy wavelengths that make up the colors of the rainbow?
White light is made of Nazis in a light bulb company.
All right,
That's my guess.
White lightning? What?
Final answer. What?
He's no comedian, I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah, he's no JP.
All right, I won't give you that one then. You
Boy, is your job safe.
Ah.
A heptagon is a shape with how many sides? A heptagon.
10.
It's 7. I don't think he's all that drunk.
Fuck.
I think he's just dumb.
Come on, really? Who the fuck knows this? Honestly, did you guys know this?
Fourth graders.
Hexagon?
Well, I knew it was an 8 or
Yeah, when I was in 4th grade, I knew it. That's for sure.
All right, but you are in the running for Drunk of the Week Brew Onion, representing Texas, bringing it strong for our boys from Jester King. I would have expected you have a lot drunker people in Texas, Jeff and Ron. All right, Biwa, just tell me who to go to next, will you? I can't read all this. Stu? Should I go to Stu?
Oh, you should read the notes I put for Stu.
Is his name... All right. His name is Two in the Stew? That's his name. That's
No, his name is Line 2. It's Line 2. It's just the Stew.
Why does it say Two in the Stew?
Shut up. I'm taking a call right now.
Sounds naughty.
I think if it's not Two in the Stew, it should be now. Hey, what's up, Two in the Stew?
The shocker.
Yeah, it's better than the shocker.
Yeah. 2 in the stew and 1 in the stew.
Yeah. How drunk are you, Stu?
How dumb are you, more importantly?
Both dumb and drunk. It's Richard from Burbank. Don't say my name.
What's your address? What's his address? I want to know where he lives.
No, I'll give you my social, though, sometime.
I can sell it.
Is that your wife?
No, it's his girlfriend, Mackenzie. Hi. Someday.
I like how she answered first, so he didn't have to get it wrong.
No.
Just this girl I'm sleeping with.
You mean this guy who's calling in for Drink of the Week on a podcast? No.
Didn't he win last week?
9.
Stu, did you drink? Did you win Drunk of the Week last week?
I'm sure he did. Yeah.
Oh, he's going for a repeat. Are you getting a handy right now?
This was.
Oh, were there pictures
with like the 2 broads?
What 2 broads?
that were bumping knuckles, dude.
What?
I don't know.
When were you watching?
Didn't he call in with 2 girls?
Yeah.
And I was making them laugh, and they were, falling all over me.
Oh, that's why you remembered it.
Yeah.
Pulling tits out.
Yeah, they were pulling tits out. They weren't displaying. They were literally ripping them out.
Great.
That happened. That was real life.
That was real life.
All right, you want to play How Dumb Are You?
No, but okay.
All right. Why are they all multiple choice? Let's go to the top there.
Multiple choice sounds good.
D-U-M.
All right, here we go. Emma has 2 yardsticks. She also has a 12-inch ruler. She laid them end to end in a line. How many feet long is the line?
Oh, fuck. Okay, I think a yard is 3.5. So 6, 7, 8 feet.
Lies.
8 feet is the line.
He's losing.
I
getting
I don't fucking know. I say 3.5 is a yardstick.
All right, so Stu says 8. What does Stu's not wife say?
I say 6 because a yard is 3 feet.
Oh.
You're both wrong.
You're both real dumb.
It's 7. 7.
Lies! Not true!
Family is 2.5, 2.5, and 1, I think.
Because Emma had 2 yardsticks and a 12-inch ruler.
Right.
I thought the 12-inch ruler is what she's used. Oh, no, that makes no sense either. See, I'm drunk too.
Fucking Emma.
See, the game is working.
First thing you learn in 4th grade is to listen to the question.
Emma has a 12-inch dick.
5th grade, you can just
throw that out there.
Emma should really trade her fucking yardsticks and a ruler for a tape measure.
Emma should be Eli.
All right, Stu. Brewer's Code compared to last week. Are you drunker this week?
It's hard to measure. To be perfectly honest,
Get out a
I think
yardstick.
I can still get a boner.
That's a good measure.
Prove it.
I mean, I'm just throwing that out there. Last week, I was pretty
It's time for the Brewing Network's latest game, Boner Chicken! Stare at my boner, stare at my boner, it's moved, you lose, Boner Chicken.
Mackenzie, play Boner Chicken. Play Boner Chicken with him.
Poor guy.
Okay, what do I do? No,
the description
wait,
is
no.
in the jingle. It's all right there. You stare. If it moves, you lose.
Yeah.
That's it.
Oh, if it moves, I lose?
No, he loses.
He loses.
Oh, he loses.
All right. Stu?
Can I do anything to persuade it?
Does he lose?
Just look
or
at it.
really actually just win?
Stu?
This is why
I'm pulling my dick out.
Thank you, Bevo.
Okay, all right.
He's going for it.
He's pulling it out, and then she needs to stare at
Just
it.
the tip, and there's my dick.
Now-
It looks cold.
It looks old?
Looks old. Looks at both, really.
All right, now, Mackenzie, you need to stare at it.
All right,
Watch if it moves.
Stop.
What's he doing?
Sorry,
He's probably waving it around.
He can't talk.
Like any man should.
Jiggling it around. Are you staring at it, Mackenzie?
I am, actually.
I have
Is it
to
moving?
piss, and this is very embarrassing.
Oh, I think you should let it go.
It's probably
Rick.
going into his head. It's like
I
a
just
turtle.
have one. I have one ball out here. Let me pull
All
my
right.
ball out. Here we go.
What do I
Here we go. Here we go.
Pee on her, Rick.
Stop touching it. Put it down.
Right, here it goes.
Leave it alone. Yeah, you're breaking the rules
You're
of
supposed
Boner
to look at
Chicken.
it.
Okay, wait.
All right, is it moving, Mackenzie?
Yes, it is.
That was our first official game of Boner Chicken. Well done, Stu. You're now in the running for Drunk of the Week.
Yay.
Thanks, guys. What?
Before you disappear, we messaged JP, and we have an amazing hangover here from his grandmother's 1967 book of bartending drinks.
What is it?
All right. It is. I will read it because it's a little intense. It is a 3-part hangover cure, and it is called the Prairie Oyster. The first part is...
Oh, fuck.
Yeah.
Okay, the first part is drink a Coke out of the bottle as fast as possible. All right, easy. Second part, 1 jigger of brandy, 2 or 3 dashes of vinegar, 2 or 3 dashes of Worcestershire sauce, 1 dash of Tabasco, 1 pinch of salt, and an egg yolk. Mix everything except for the egg yolk. Float the yolk whole and drink without flinching. Part 3, place a cube of sugar in a saucer and pour 1/3 jigger of brandy over it. Ignite the brandy and let it flame until it goes out. Then drink the remaining liquid and eat the rest of the sugar as hot as possible. Richard, that's disgusting.
Wow.
She's looking at his boner again.
It is very intense. I messaged
It's really moving now.
I did have
That
it
is intense.
on my Twitter thing.
Twitter.
I'm probably not going to try it next time, but thank you.
No, it
Yeah.
sounds terrible.
Yeah,
You should do it.
It's pretty
But
gnarly.
it's from 1967, and that's awesome.
Well, of course it is.
Go.
They didn't have Bloody Mary.
Yeah.
Go.
Yeah,
Just
68
throwing
was
that out
horrible.
there.
67 ruled.
All right, thank you very much. 2 in the stew is now in the running for Drunk of the Week. And he made history by playing the first ever live game of Boner Chicken on the Brewing Network.
One to lose,
That's a
too.
lowercase L, not an I.
I don't.
It was supposed to be line 2, but I typed it backwards. Sorry.
And now is line 3 Bungchez?
Bungchez.
Bungche?
Bungchez.
It's Bungchez.
It's French. If it's it's Chez, so he's Bungche.
Bungchez.
Shut up and take the call.
Hello, Bunkshay.
You know, it could be nicer, Bevo.
No, I can't.
Yeah, it's true.
Calling from Iowa. How are you, buddy?
Yeah, what's going on?
You know. Are you drunk?
Yeah, pretty drunk.
Do you have a chat window open with him, Bevo? All right, you're going to have to do this with me. He's going to get to play another new game today. We have a lot of new games today. Just wait a second. I got to find it. What's it called? Oh, that's what it's called. All right, Bevo, I'm going to need your help on this. You got your chat window open with him?
Yeah, she's on the phone.
Okay.
She has to place an order at Target.
All right.
You guys fucking with me right now?
Oh, that's just the music. Oops.
Now it's time for everyone's favorite game where what you should have said isn't nearly as important as how you probably could have said it if you weren't such a moron. It's time for You Sound Like an Idiot.
That's right. You can play along at home. All right, Bevo, are you ready? Do you have the document open on your computer?
No.
Why would
Tell
she?
me I had to have that.
Remember when we talked in the meeting and he told me to share you, and I said I'm going to share this on this. There you go. In the meantime, you want to talk about this?
JP's boner for a minute.
This game is called
beer?
You Sound Like an Idiot, and now I'm the one who sounds like an idiot.
Well,
No, I'm pretty sure I do.
We were drinking that before the mead.
These labels are incredible.
They're rad, right?
You could put shit in this bottle, and people would buy it. These labels are so good.
That's Buddhist Brew. It's a basically a barrel fermented Berliner Weiss that we blended kombucha tea from a place called Buddhist Brew.
Okay.
So it's kind of tart, funky, and has some of the characteristics of kombucha tea, which is a fermented tea with some kind of organisms like it has some acetobacter and then some lactobacillus and so yeah, it's kind of session strength as well. It's kind of like 4%. I think it finished at like 4.3.
Okay.
So basically, again, Berliner Weisse was the base beer. It's fermented in oak, and then we blended in kombucha tea.
Such a good beer.
Do you realize that the Jester King guys have upstaged us in every area as entrepreneurs, as brewers, as artists?
Yeah.
In all categories, they are past us.
It's true.
Thanks a lot.
You guys
but if we helped spawn Jester King, doesn't every parent want their children to grow up to be better than they are? So we've done it right, Tasty.
Good launching.
Yeah. Okay, Bevo?
Yes, I'm good.
Okay, let's go back to Bung Ches. Shea Bung. Are you ready to play You Sound Like an Idiot?
Yeah, I suppose. Let's do it.
All right.
He wins! Yay!
All right. You have a chat window open with Bevo. I need you to look at that window. Bevo, give him the clam one, the third one down.
Give him the clam.
So what we're doing here is giving you a tongue twister that you need to say back to us quickly. Once you send it, tell me you've sent it, Bevo.
Okay.
Have you sent it?
Hold your stinking horses.
It's S-E-N-D.
She's retyping it.
There's a button
No,
there.
I'm not. I hate you.
Copy and paste.
I'm trying to copy and paste, but it's copying the last thing I sent you.
Oh. This game's awesome.
Douche.
Do you want me to do it? Because
No.
you clearly can't deal with it.
Shut up.
Okay.
Oh, I see. I can see on the document that she's now highlighted it.
I love Google
It's
Docs.
doing it again. I do have to type it out.
All right, type it out then.
Oh, God.
Great. I've seen Bevo's typing. I get it in.
Might take a while.
Yeah. Shit.
Here, let me see if I can find Bung Chuz. And I can do it.
This is terrible.
Bung Chuz. All right, Bung Chugs. Here we go.
Read
We're
this
gonna
back to us.
Hang
Do
on,
this
let me
tongue
find
twister.
it. Okay, here we go.
JP did it.
This is the best radio we've ever done.
Dude,
What the fuck is going on?
to be honest with you, I can't copy and paste.
Suck my balls.
Our chat kind of sucks for copy and pasting. Great.
I'm hanging up on. I'm taking out on him. There.
I think you should.
Good luck. Good job, guy. You JP and Bevo. You just ruined his chances for Drunk of the Week.
Talk to Code, man. I can't get anything to copy and paste in here.
All right.
How can a clam cram in a clean cream can?
That's what he was going to have to say, and then hilarity would have ensued. That was the whole principle behind this game. Yeah. It was hilarity ensuing.
You got it wrong. So
and
either way.
Okay. Let's go to Paul Brown.
Paul Brown.
Or do I need to first go? I need to go to Sackle Brew.
No, Paul Brown was first.
Oh, too late. Hi, Sackle Brew.
Let's get drunker, Paul.
Hey, how's it going?
How are you, buddy? Turn your radio down, please.
Doing good.
Are you drunk?
Yeah, with a little help from Spider Wrangler. They got me some hop slam and Boris the Crusher, and feeling pretty good.
He sounds sort of unhappy about it. Sounds like I'm feeling good, but I'm unhappy.
He just does. I think he doesn't want to tell you about it. He's like pissed that he has to talk.
Yeah, turn down your thing in the back. I can't do this today.
Turn it up. Just turn it up real loud.
Paul Brown. Hey, buddy.
Hey, Justin.
How are you, man?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Are you drunk?
A little bit.
Paul Brown is our drunk of the week, ladies and gentlemen.
A little bit.
I don't have time for this bullshit.
No, it's real hot in here. And
what?
What have you been drinking, Paul?
Well, I've been bottling some World Cup of beer brews. You know, like so.
No, he said, "What are you drinking? Not what are you doing?"
Homebrew, and right now I'm drinking Platypus Venom Imperial Stout.
He's hammered.
He is hammered. I know, Paul, and I've never heard him sound this hammered.
No.
That's awesome.
From Arnie.
On a scale of
it's not even following the conversation. He's drunk. On a scale of 1 to 10, he's like a 9 for me.
Are you a 9 right now, Paul?
8.5.
8.5.
There you go.
Should we give it to him, or
you look like a 9?
I don't think we should give him drunk because I think Stu was actually 2 in the Stew was drunker, and he did boner chicken, and Paul hasn't done anything.
Yeah, Paul, you need to play a game.
Well, I'm kind of just still hungover from the IPA fest yesterday. You know.
Do you want to play boner chicken?
What's boner chicken? I don't know.
Get Denise in the room. We'll figure it out.
Yeah. You have to get Denise in to come stare at your wiener, and if it moves, you lose. I just love
seriously, Paul. Seriously,
I just love describing the game.
Kidding.
The rules are awesome.
I think if your wife's staring at your wiener and it doesn't move, you still lose.
Either way, you lose.
Yeah.
Nobody ever wins at boner chicken. That's the beauty of the game.
Denise isn't supposed to know about all this like drunk of the week stuff, you know.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Well,
Paul, yes. Yeah.
She is here in the room.
Yeah.
I know.
You do have a penis.
She's a nice lady. I can't.
I don't want to picture it. Like I know them. I don't.
Right.
I don't want.
Next time I see Denise, I got to picture her staring at Paul's wiener. I can't do it.
Can you imagine if we see Paul in a couple days with a black eye? Paul, what'd you do? Well, I tried to play boner chicken.
All right. All right, Paul, I'm sorry, but this week you are drunk, but just not quite drunk enough to take home drunk of the week.
Well, anyway, I want to give a shout out to Society.
Yeah?
Our buddy Doug.
Yeah, Dougie won the Double IPA Festival?
Yeah.
All right. Shout out done. Thank you, sir. Congratulations to Dougie at Society. He won the 7th annual Double IPA Fest or something. Thank you, Paul.
He won the Double IPA category, as a matter of fact.
Yeah. Good job. All right, then. Our drunk of the week today is...
He beat Pliny the Elder, by the way.
2 in the Stew.
And Double Jack.
2 weeks in a row.
Yeah, Dougie... I don't care about Dougie anymore. How about that? Take that, Dougie. Because he had promised us beer for Winterfest and then bailed. But then he comes up for the Bistro event. There were more people to try his beer at the Winterfest than there are at the Bistro event, my friend. So I don't care, Dougie. You don't get a congratulations from me. You take your Double IPA medal and suck it.
Well, Doug is on the list of the top 50 people to watch in San Diego.
Is he?
Yeah.
Who else? I want to know who else is on the list.
Probably the mayor.
Yeah.
And the homeless guy on 3rd and fucking 10th or whatever.
Yeah, making San Diego-style tacos.
It's probably the other 59,000 breweries that are opening tomorrow in San Diego.
Right. Yeah, everyone's in love with Dougie. What has Dougie done for me lately?
Well, apparently he fucking ditched you on your festival.
Right.
Yeah, he made you look like an asshole.
All right. I'll give you under my breath congratulations, Dougie.
A backhanded compliment.
Congratulations, dude. Whatever. I hope it was a good IPA. I wouldn't know because you didn't send any to the Winterfest.
Right. And you know, the 39 million people who came to the fest wouldn't know either.
I think it's funny that you're doing all this bashing, assuming he's listening to this.
Oh, he's listening.
Oh, he listens.
Oh, they all listen.
They totally listen.
They listen.
They love it.
By the way, Jeff,
Definitely
for future reference,
never go to San Diego.
As you can tell, I will take away every good thing I've ever said about your beer if you promise me beer and don't send it.
Yeah.
So just, you watch your ass, buddy.
Noted.
Now we'll never get promised beer.
Yeah, no one will ever.
No can do, boys.
Yeah. I can't go for that.
Now,
I was just going to say that.
Before we go,
you and I are connected.
Before we go, I did want to mention the last Jester King beer that doesn't even have a badass label on it. That is another This might be my favorite one of the day, actually.
El Cedro.
What is this one? An experimental beer, or you just didn't have a label?
There is a label, isn't there?
We haven't got labels in yet for it. It's our newest beer, so we don't have labels quite yet. But it's a cedar aged beer, Spanish cedar spirals. It's not a barrel aged beer, so we dropped Spanish cedar spirals into the stainless steel tanks. So basically, the base beer was kind of the work we'd do for like an American IPA. It was kind of like 1060 starting gravity. We actually got some Citra from Sam Adams. They did a hop share. Like we don't have very good contracts on hops right now, so we can't get like Citra or Simcoe. But so through the Sam Adams hop share, we got some Citra, and so we dry hopped it pretty aggressively with Citra. Added the cedar spirals, and then bottle conditioned it with the Dre strain from Dre Fontaine.
Okay.
That strain of Brettanomyces. So kind of the three kind of flavor profiles of the beer would be the Citra hops, the cedar spirals, and the Brett. And it's very dry to an 8%.
Yeah.
I'm looking at a label right now with like a tree trunk on it. What is that?
Yes, that's the actual label. That'll go on these bottles real soon here, but we just haven't gotten them from the print shop yet.
Gotcha.
I'm sure you're familiar with Cigar City as a brewery.
Yes, absolutely. Cigar City was the first cedar aged beer I've ever had.
Mine too, yeah.
The Highlight, the cedar aged Highlight, the Hunapu. No. What do they call their special series? I should know.
I don't know because I had
series. Humidor, thank you.
Yeah. And I had it just at they were pouring for the GABF, like one of the parties of the week they were pouring there. And that's the only other beer I've tried with cedar in it. Are there others that you know of?
From not Bear. What's the Japanese brewery that does it?
Hitachino. Hitachino Nest does a cedar aged beer.
Okay. But, it's a strong flavor to play with, as I'm sure you were worried about in doing it.
Yeah. We were. And so it has that big kind of cedar note, which I don't know, I think kind of goes well with like citrusy hops and Brett. But
I think so, too.
Cool.
And I don't remember if the Cigar City one, I don't think it did, that I tried had Brett, and I think that's a nice characteristic to go along with it.
Cool.
Especially with some of the bitterness that comes out of that. And then Citra is just an excellent choice.
Yeah. It's an awesome hop.
I brought back a growler, just a quick shout out to 50/50. That's where I was for Schumann's birthday up in Truckee. And I brought back, did you try that California
Very good.
APA?
Yeah, I like it a lot.
That's a Citra beer. Citra and something, I forget what the other beer was. Summit, maybe? It might have been Citra and Summit. But it's just their pale ale, American pale ale. I enjoyed it quite a bit, so I ended up buying like 4 growlers, and that's part of why I feel this way today.
Thanks for bringing it.
Yeah, but I want to bring some to you guys.
El Dorado.
And, El Dorado, that's it. Yeah, cool. Citra and El Dorado. Yeah.
El Dorado.
Yeah. By the way, that Mosaic IPA that Nathan shared earlier, that was pretty awesome. I had never had Mosaic. I just recently heard of Mosaic hops. I thought that was really good. Yeah.
I didn't get any of that. Now he's off my shit list, too.
I got foam on that.
That ain't right.
That ain't right.
I think I drank it all, sorry.
That's all right.
We haven't heard of Cigar City, but we've heard of Rack City.
What?
Yeah. You got to hear Rack City.
All right, are we done here, Moscow? Have I done everything I'm supposed to do?
Yes.
You're supposed to mention our dinner tomorrow.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. That's another
producer now.
Another thing.
I didn't know about that.
Right? That Jester King is in town for. You guys doing a beer dinner?
Thanks, Ron.
We are doing a beer dinner tomorrow, now that you ask.
What are you doing? Where's it at?
We're doing a dinner at Alembic tomorrow in San Francisco. So it's kind of a an a la carte dinner, or you can come in and order the whole meal. And if you do order the whole meal, there may be a special bonus for you there.
Oh, very nice.
Wow.
Alembic is a fantastic spot. In fact, we've got the proprietor on the show next month, I think, right? Dave coming in?
Yeah, he'll be in March.
Wow. You picked a good place to do a beer dinner. Dave's a good guy.
Yeah, they have like pickled or like seasoned duck hearts. Oh, they're beautiful.
Really?
Yeah, they're great.
I feel like I can eat a heart of something.
You can. You really can.
You most definitely can.
Yeah.
Wow.
You gain that power of it's a whole power.
That's what I
thing.
mean. It's like a thing. You don't just enjoy it. You're eating somebody's heart.
If you put it like in the middle of the plate and then you reach down through it like really hard, like you're reaching through skin, and then you shove it in your mouth.
What has happened to you?
Did we mention that most of our beers are vegetarian and vegan friendly?
That pair great with duck heart.
Right.
But pair great with duck heart. Exactly.
So can people go to the Alembic website to get tickets? Do you know?
I have no idea.
Go check it out.
I would go to SF Beer Week, and you can
look
find
it
it
up.
there.
So it's tomorrow night at the Alembic in San Francisco. A good place to go, and then with Jester King beer there.
Yeah.
How did you guys get that gig? Do you guys know Dave? Or
I worked with Dave a little bit when I was at Shelton Brothers.
Okay.
So, I have a lot of respect for what he does.
Yeah, and he's a great foodie. He really enjoys bringing good beer and food together, so it's a good partner to have.
As do we.
Yeah, as you should. All right, well, wonderful. Then now am I... hey, Ron, am I done? Have I done everything on...
Twitter game. Ron slid me a note that says Twitter game.
Right.
Yeah, we have Twitter game.
Did we even announce the Twitter game in the beginning?
Sure did, yeah. We need a hangover cure for SF Beer Week. It's SF Beer Week. I don't know if you knew that or not.
Oh,
and,
is that why that lady
hungover.
was giving us the hangover?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
She was playing along with the thing that we're doing.
Well, that's good.
Hi, Justin. I'd like to welcome you to the Brewing Network. We do a show every Sunday.
Hey, welcome to the studio, guys. We're about to interview Jester King Brewery. We got a lot to get to. That's how.
Oh my
Too bad they didn't bring any beer.
I feel. All right. So what answers do we have?
Well, Andrew says his hangover cure is a Duvel in the shower while huffing nitrous he got in trade from Doc for 2 goats and a set of banjo strings.
Nitrous is a good hangover cure.
Wayne Perry says hold your breath forever. That's a good hangover cure.
All right.
Our friend Steven Torres says pound a bomber filled with clamato, salt, pepper, and lime. Hella pound that shit to the neck.
Ew.
Whatever that means.
It's disgusting.
I think he means pour it on his neck.
Every time he says something, he just sounds more and more Mexican.
I know.
Clamato is foul.
Yeah. So are necks. Lauren Verbarg. I would like to congratulate Lauren. She actually was serious. Emergency, 2 cups of water, aspirin, tomato juice or juiced greens.
What are juice greens?
Juiced greens, like
juiced
maybe
greens.
wheatgrass or something. Example, Evolution Sweet Greens, sold at Starbucks.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that was adorable.
Okay.
Matt Smith says glitter, lots and lots of glitter.
Glitter.
Tom Wallace says stay home.
I wanted to.
Yeah. Effing Beer says F you for rubbing it in. We don't get SF Beer Week in Michigan. We get snow.
Right.
And then Dave Malone says the Sully cure, surround yourselves with younger women.
I like that one. Yeah. I think that's our winner, right?
I think so too. Dave Malone!
Yeah. Our Twitter winner today.
Send me an email at jp@thebrewingnetwork.com and then give me your shirt size, please, so I don't have to play this game of I'll email you back and then you email me and then I'll be back.
Right.
There you go.
All right. Join us next week where we're doing our show live from the Celebrator party. It's their 25th anniversary. It's going to be at the downtown Oakland Marriott, and we're going to have a good time. We're going to bring a bunch of good interviews from there. So check us out. You can go to Celebrator.com right now. I think it's Celebrator.com. Yeah, Celebrator.com, and buy yourself some tickets. And then come join us. We're going to have fun. Tasty, down for that?
I'll be there. Be a lot of fun.
You guys aren't even going to have to work that hard. I'm just going to have to sit there interviewing brewers most of the time. You're going to get to walk around.
I'll work the crowd.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll watch Tasty work the crowd while watching simultaneously you interview brewers.
Right.
Are we going to do the webcams and shit?
Yes.
Oh, fuck. That means I have to do
So
work.
you will have to do a bit of work.
Great. But I can't be on the mic, so I don't give a shit.
Right. Is that it?
That's it.
Are you ready with everything else you're supposed to do?
I'm ready, buddy.
All right, let's get out of here. Bevo, you did a great job tonight.
Boo.
Did I really? I don't think I did.
I'm totally fucking with you.
Okay, let me just say.
You're the worst call screener in the history
I screened
of...
every call fine except for typing one thing backwards because I was trying to answer 5 lines at once.
When you typed it backwards, did it say "Hail Satan"?
Yes,
okay.
it did.
All right.
It did result in a new name for a guy.
A better name.
Yeah,
2 fingers in your butt or whatever
2 in
it
the
was.
stew.
All right, thank
2
you.
in the stew. Thank
So-
you. You're welcome. And it's not my fault that I couldn't cut and paste because your crappy program doesn't work.
Whatever. Why do I keep dealing with such unprofessionalism? Why do I...
Toxic code. He's hammered, so...
It's probably because...
I think he's referring to me as the unprofessionalism, not his crappy system.
The unprofessional equipment.
But you bring up a good point. You've actually answered my question. Yeah. Both Code and Bevo work for free.
That's right.
So that's why I keep dealing with their bullshit.
Look, I'm just saying I could be doing other things.
Like
getting
what?
more Frosties.
Yeah, like eating another ice cream sundae.
Maybe.
To the neck, son.
Yeah.
Right in your fucking neck.
You're going to get a double quarter pounder on the way home, aren't you?
I'm not, because I had some quiche in between on the break.
And then you're going to get...
Don't go there.
It's in Bevo's contract that we have to take a break every 25 minutes so she can eat. She's not arguing with that.
Such an asshole. I'm not as quick as he is, and I can't think of anything to say. My feelings are just hurt now because I'm fat and he isn't mean.
All right, let's get out of here. We'll see you next week at the Celebrator Beer Party. I love you, Bevo.
You're an asshole. Justin's an asshole.
Thank you to our show sponsor, More Beer. You can get absolutely everything you need to make great beer at home by going to morebeer.com. JP's on Twitter. Follow him at Major Jip for the hottest Disneyland tips. Scott's on Twitter when he feels like it. Follow him at Moscow Paints. For some good beer info and homebrew insight, follow Nate Smith at Nathan Homebrew and Mike Cookie Drop McDowell at Tasty McD. The BN will be at the Celebrator News 25th anniversary party, and you can be too. Head to celebratornews.com for ticket info. Justin will be shaking hands all day long. Check out the Brewing Network store for all the latest merch, including the new Beersmith 2 software. And be sure to find the Brewing Network on Facebook and Twitter. Mead, it's what's for dinner.